Hello, everybody, and welcome to coverage of the second quarterfinals of the Premodern Fall Brawl Top 8. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined today by Ryan Grodzinski. How's it going, Ryan?
Hey guys,
Uh,
going great.
yes, so we have an interesting matchup in the fact that it's a Parfait Oath against a blue-white Stasis, which is a little bit different than maybe what we see, but we had chat lamenting that how long this match is going to go, and I think it's going to be a test of how entertaining that we can be because these games might be long. We're playing a best of five, and these next neither of them win very quickly, so we could be in for a long grind.
I feel like I'm up to the challenge,
Okay.
so we'll give it our best.
All right, let's jump in to learn a little bit about our players, and then we can uh, then we'll talk about the decks. So first we have Rich Shay. So he is on the Parfait Oath deck. It's what he is known to test and tune. He's played a lot. He really enjoys playing with it, and he kind of tweaks it. I think like every tournament that he plays it. So he finished the top seed as 7-1. All the players were 7-1. He says it's favored against most of the aggressive strategies in the format, but it would struggle against fast combo. And he said sideboard MVP is land tax, which I don't know if it was a joke or something because land tax are all in the main. So I don't know if that or if that meant that he had ever sideboarded out land tax, which would be wild to me, but I don't know. So we'll have to ask him about that. Not sure what he meant. A little bit more about Rich. Uh, so he says this deck is the most fun archetype in the format. I have to imagine that that is more from his perspective and not necessarily from his opponents, because some people don't like to play against the Parfait Oath deck. But and for changes, he says at this point he's pretty happy with his list. He's not certain on anything that he would change. And he likes to take walks and keep up with technology for his hobbies outside of Magic. And people should root for him because he says, how can you not root for the deck with Zur's Weirding? So, we'll talk a little bit about Will Hurst. So that is his opponent. So out of Madison, Wisconsin, he finished 7th. He is the 8th seed. He's playing the blue-white Stasis. He talked about that he got this list actually from Rich Shay, and they were talking how they've actually like practiced this matchup together, which you were kind of saying that they must be crazy to want to do that. But he says it's favored against control and mid-range strategies. So I don't know if he... I guess he says it struggles versus elves, some parfait lists, and some aggro lists. I don't know if he exactly means that the list that Rich has, if he feels like he is going to struggle, or if he feels like some of the updates from Euro Champs give it more an advantage. It says the sideboard MVP is Swords to Plowshares. Okay. He says, I think Stasis is underplayed and the White Splash was something that he wanted to try out. Though, if he were to make changes going forward, he would drop the white. He says it was great in theory, but a little bit too clunky in practice. And for exciting moments, he said nothing stands out. Stasis does Stasis things. His favorite hobbies outside of Magic, he says fatherhood. So that takes up a lot of his time. And why should people root for you? He says, I try to play unique ideas to adapt the metagame as I see it and find cracks to attack them when possible. All right. So let's jump over to the decks and break down what we have in front of us. So I have the Stasis list first. So the blue-white Stasis from Will Hurst. So if you take the normal Stasis shell, that's a mono blue list. All of the cards are kind of there. The white edition, I see an Enlightened Tutor, a Seal of Cleansing, Kismet is the big one. I think that is the biggest draw to play the white cards is you have the full lock. If you have Kismet and Stasis and Forsaken City, you can kind of just if you have less cards in your deck, and if you have, you're going to draw Felden's Cane, so you're pretty much going to have less cards in your deck. You're just going to win. What is your take on this list? What do you like about it, and maybe how do you think it's different than a typical Stasis list we see?
So compared to a typical Stasis list, this is what every Stasis player wants to be playing. Not that we actually do it, because I think there's a lot of draw to playing mono blue. As far as, but this is Kismet, Felden's Canes. Like this is exactly what we want to be doing when we play prison strategies. We want to completely choke them out and take away all. They don't want to. They will concede, and we get to have all the fun. So I love this. I don't necessarily know if it's better or worse than the mono blue, uh, but it's definitely what I want to be doing. It's the Seal of Cleansing's huge. The Howling Mine is huge, and you can tutor for them all. So I think it's a very nice list. I think it's well crafted for this white splash. It also gives you more sideboard options as well. I'm a fan.
Okay. And then let's look at Rich's list. So we see the Parfait Oath. I'm trying to digest and see what is different than we have normally seen. So there are two Duress in the main that I've seen go in and out of Rich's lists. There's an Engineered Plague in the main. That one probably not a big role player in this matchup. There are two Aura of Silence and a Seal Cleansing in the main, and there's a main deck Ray of Revelation. That card seems huge in this matchup. So
Yeah, the Duresses and the Rays are pretty recent additions, and the Meddling Mages as well will do a lot of work, I believe, in this matchup. So
yeah, the Oath targets that Rich has gone with right now are Ancestors Chosen and Shard Phoenix, though Oath not a big role player in this matchup. So uh, yeah, I expect these games to go long and the players to kind of execute a game plan, but I'm ready to jump down on the match if you are, Ryan.
I'm so ready.
Okay, so let's do that. If you want to let our players know that they can begin.
Absolutely.
We are playing a best of 5 tonight, so we are expecting a lot of magic. So the Stasis deck is not quite the fastest one to win all the time, and neither is the Parfait Oath. So Will's got his
But they do it with class.
yeah, the Woodford Reserve out, so that's his way of enjoying the match. But Rich is going to kick things off with a Mox Diamond and discard a Serra Sanctum to cast a Duress. What do we see out of Will? So Black Vice, Daze, Gush, Impulse, Arcane Denial, and then that's 2 islands, right? Or is it one of those a plains? I think
It's
actually
an
one,
island and a plains.
one is a plains. Okay,
Hmm.
so it has the white source, and I'm not sure what you take here. I guess it's how susceptible are you to Black Vice? Um, Given that he's played a Mox Diamond and played a spell, that might not be a big deal. Um, and then maybe you take the Arcane Denial if there's a spell you really want to resolve. But I think what you take is a lot really dependent on what is in Rich's hand.
Yeah, taking a peek at the list here, he's running 2 Black Vices and 1 Felden's Cane. I think from that perspective, I think I'm highly incentivized to actually go with the Vice, even though it's not something that he's going to actively be taking damage from, but later on down the road he'll start.
That is what he settles on. So the we'll say quote unquote threats out of Will have been halved. He does have access to get it back, you said, with the Felden's Cane, but if a stasis lock kind of comes down, it might give Rich a lot more turns, because if there's no Black Vice, then you can be pretty patient, and I guess you could fear a Kismet coming down, but
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and proactively run out the Enlightened Tutor to keep it away from Daze, and now he's able to play a land and get the Sylvan Library out there, not worrying about Daze again before he can Arcane Denial. And that's going to be huge throughout this game. He's going to get a lot of card advantage. I would anticipate Rich, without having access to land tax or scroll rack, is probably going to take a few hits here from Sylvan Library, dig deeper in his deck. I wouldn't be surprised if he just took on an automatic 8 here, no matter what.
yeah, it's nice that like Rich got to see that hand that Will had like on the first turn, and now it's kind of sculpted his plays. I mean, you see him playing around Days, and then just kind of he's able to set things up, and just with all that information, at least for the first few turns. Obviously, as Will's hand becomes more and more unknown, he'll have to make educated guesses. But that known information is really good for him.
I got to give it to Rich there for showing some restraint. I think I would have just scraped 8 right off the, not even looked at the cards. Um, He's at least playing as though he's thinking about something.
When you said restrain, I'm like, he did. He played. He took 8. What do you want him to do? Okay, just want him just to.
I wouldn't even looked at him. I would have just take 8, draw 3.
All right, Will has added a couple lands, but beyond that, he he did have the Arcane Denial for the land tax, so. All right, so Rich is gonna use a Sylvan Library that, like, I think maybe the drawing cards will slow down, but at least just kind of looking at the top 3.
No, he's gonna start filtering.
Gives you a little
I
bit
think
of
he
selection.
might
So.
still. We might get a chunk for 4 in there, here or there, depending what he sees on top. He's gonna eventually get to a shuffle effect as well, which is gonna help out.
Mm-hmm. So now he's trying to cast a Scroll Rack. Will's gonna respond by casting Impulse. So with only 1 mana up, that limits the amount of counter spells that he could have. I think it would have to be Foil. Would have to be the one that he could cast from the spot, I think.
He could cast a Daze.
That's true, but not the most effective. I guess he's going to.
Yeah.
It might just be so that
to get the island in the hand or tap him down because he drew into Stasis.
Okay, I was saying if he needed the island, he did have the gush, but I guess maybe picking up both islands at the spot is not what he wanted to do. But yeah, I'm interested to see what Will's plan is just by using.
I think it was just a play into Stasis at that point, get him to tap an extra land, and
that's fair. All right, so the Stasis fun has begun. So Undiscovered Paradise, that will not return to the hand.
There is no untapped step.
Yes, that is something that players get really excited as a combination with Stasis, and then eventually come to the realization that it doesn't work the way you want. Otherwise, that would probably be played over Forsaken City in the Stasis lists. All right, Rich is hitting land drops, and as we'll probably see a lot of draw go here. Will has to pay mana every time to keep the Stasis around. He does have a card like Gush that'll set him back on mana, but allow him to untap Lions. We do see the Forsaken City, so this is kind of the piece that allows you to exchange cards for mana.
And I think, at least how I play it, what you'll kind of see here is, and he doesn't do it. But a lot of times I will aggressively untap Forsaken City to get myself an extra 1 or 2 untapped islands, so that in the case that I do actually have to counterspell, I'm able to as well.
Sure, giving you the access to that extra mana and kind of getting rid of cards that maybe are lower impact. Looks like will exile a Flooded Strand to untap the Forsaken City to pay for Stasis.
And then pay for Stasis that way,
But we've kind of reached the point where kind of what everyone was fearing, where the players are just going to stare at each other for a while. But so from Rich's perspective, I think you just wait. I mean, like, you know, there's only
in no hurry to do anything.
You know, there's only one Black Vice. Like, that would be the only thing that I think I would be really afraid of, because I guess like Kismet is the other card. So like, if a Kismet were to come down, but that like investing 4 mana from the spot from Will is pretty difficult. So I think you're really only concerned about a Black Vice, and because Will has to spend resources either on like exiling cards or playing and tapping lands, and eventually the Stasis is going to die. I guess it could get Chain of Vapored or something, but Rich is going to kind of build up what he has, because he does have tools that can fight a Stasis, like the Seal of Cleansing, Auras of Silence, and we talked about that main deck Ray of Revelation will really be important. So All right, will tap an island this time instead of exiling a card for Forsaken City, and we'll continue to play the waiting game. Rich is discarding cards, so he's at the full 7. He's discarding a Shard Phoenix and Swords of Plowshares, so cards that are a little bit lower impact in this matchup. So the first 2 games are going to be without sideboarding, so we will see the cards or players have some cards that are less effective. I mean, Rich actually has a ton of dead cards in this matchup. If you look at the creatures, Oath, Swords of Plowshares, there's a lot of cards that are just kind of misses from his perspective.
Mm-hmm. That being said, the joke's on William because he doesn't have anything to counterspell that's important, so his counterspells are kind of dead.
Yeah. Will is going to cast a Gush. Perfect card in this deck. Just returning the islands is almost a benefit in most situations because you have more untapped lands to play for Stasis. We do see a Felden's Cane, though. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think that's necessarily scary from Rich's perspective.
Yeah, but it is actually one of the more relevant cards in the matchup, depending how this plays out. And there's our first boomerang. So that might elicit a response from, or not. I was like, if he has a ray, we might see something happen here. But...
Mm-hmm. All right, so Will gets untapped, and it's likely that he's going to be deploying the Stasis again to keep Rich under the lock.
Yeah, I think if he has Gush here, he might run out of Kismet as well. If he has it.
Looks like no, he's not deploying Kismet right now. Rich is going to discard Oath of Druids, and he's also discarded an Ancestor's Chosen, so... But again, like here, I think Rich has the luxury of being able to wait without a card like Black Vice in play.
So Rich will eventually get to negate the first Black Vice with his own Ivory Tower.
Yeah, that's something I didn't consider either.
So it's almost like Williams playing 1 Black Vice. So we will eventually need to reshuffle that in to have that be as a win con. Backup win con would be, decking, but Rich plays 3 Gaia's Blessings. The problem there is that he probably only runs enough land. He runs very little land, actually, because he doesn't need to with this type of build. So eventually you'll get pinched to where you're not able to really recycle like that. So it's kind of interesting the way this is going to play out.
We do see a Black Vice out of Will. So yep. This kind of puts Rich in a position where he's at least under a clock. It's actually pretty quick. If he has 7 cards in hand, that's just 4 turns. And like, because his mana won't untap, he's got a limited number of shots. And I actually don't mind Will's position from here. I feel like if the game goes long, I feel like Rich has a lot of inevitability and will be able to find enough answers for a Stasis. But right now, I don't know if he has enough mana. Like, Will just might have enough counterspells for the threats that Rich is trying to present.
Well, we got an Enlightened Tutor for Rich, so something tells me he's going to dig for some sort of answer here.
I mean, the cheapest card is like Seal Cleansing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 mana, and he's only got 1 additional mana beyond that. I mean,
what do you think the odds are that William has a counterspell on that big stack of cards?
Definitely very high. I was trying to think of like maybe the other thing you try and do is would a land tax trigger? I mean, that's real dangerous with a Black Vice in play, but I was to say, like, get your hand really big so that you can scroll rack and then try and cast, like, find the Ray of Revelation. Because that's 2 cards or 2 threats with 1, like 2 answers with 1 card kind of thing. But
I think that the problem here is that you almost guarantee that the first 1 or 2 spells that are cast are going to be countered. So I think there's incentive to actually get as many cards out of hand as possible
Okay.
right now.
But I mean,
So
like
the
after
card just
if this gets countered, I feel like it's like I don't think Rich will have time to rebuild to find another threat. Like, cause he just doesn't have enough mana.
well, he's going to take 2 each turn. If he's able to get to a land and then actually stop to play, he can keep his hand relatively low.
Okay.
Now myself here, I would just take 3 cards and take 8 again. I think that's no, I'm joking. But it's Rich. He's going to think about it again
Yeah.
and probably make the better call.
He did have like the same 3 cards for a while, right? Like when he was discarding. Enlightened Tutor did shuffle, so now he's got access at least to the
Yeah.
3 new looks. And okay.
Oh, look. Now we're just out of Black Vice range.
Yeah. That makes a huge
Pretty
difference.
much.
Is like it gives him like the difference of like taking 3 every turn and now not potentially not taking any is really good. Oh, is he just discarding this? I guess if you have a land, there's.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if it's better, but like, it's not really any different. All right, so it looks like Rich was kind of had a hand that was ready to kind of take advantage of a Black Vice to get under, so he kind of played like he was weak, I think, and now he's showing that like, all right, he's at least for now he's able to stay under the Black Vice. So this is going to make Will commit more mana and more resources into the keeping the stasis active. I do like that. That's good because now he doesn't have to worry about like running out that seal cleansing with only like a few mana and getting it countered and then kind of just sitting there and dying to the Black Vice. So very well played.
So I believe William is the Mox Diamond thing was a concession to the Singleton. He's playing a powder keg, isn't he? If I remember correctly.
I don't know, but it does sound correct that he does have one.
Yeah, he does have 1 powder keg, so that kind of makes sense.
Okay.
On the other side, eventually, if Rich is able to actually resolve an Armageddon, then you're kind of incentivized to have the Mox Diamonds in play. But
So Rich has 4 cards in hand. Is that correct?
yep,
All right.
that's what I'm seeing.
All right. So Will's gonna upkeep the stasis, the play a land, and pass the turn. And Rich is in a Sylvan Library and has a Windswept Heath, which is a nice one since
Now he's able to shuffle.
Yep.
Which is great. And the old tap the island, play an island.
Tale as old as time. So Rich hasn't used the Heath yet, so he still likes the top 3 at this point.
Yep. I think he's just going to get to a point where it's like literally 3 dead cards and then use it. He's under no pressure. Otherwise, if there's a land on top or something, he can just play and get out of his hand.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see him continue to do this.
Yeah, because every turn that Rich is able to stay under the Black Vice, develop his mana, it just makes Will commit more resources to the stasis. I guess it opens up an opportunity that Will can like we saw like a boomerang in a turn, but you can't really do much about it from Rich's perspective. So.
And for all of you that think that Mox Diamond's just a broken card in this format, please pay attention to what Rich is doing with it lately. That's the 3rd one in a row he's just thrown in his yard. It's not really all that great, you guys.
Just ordered my 4th one, so I think I will receive it tonight. So
congratulations, that's awesome.
I had to figure out what I'm going to play with it now.
Now, I did not see. I'm sorry, I took my eyes off of the screen. So, The Forsaken City went to the yard, so I'm assuming we bounced Stasis, sacked that to return. What did they return of Riches? I missed that. I'm a terrible
Sylvan
commentator.
Library is the card.
Oh, that makes sense.
I
Okay.
missed it as
Yep.
well, but I guess I don't see the Sylvan Library anymore. So
All right. Now we're getting the reshuffle with the Felden's Cane. So.
do you think, from Will's perspective, like when is the time that you want to use a card like Felden's Cane?
Uh, so I think I just allow this to go even later myself. Um, Rich is not. Rich's deck is set up in a way that he's probably not going to allow himself to get into a Black Vice situation to where that's a huge concern unless he gets his second Vice. So I think you're kind of playing for the longer game there. So though Howling Mind's going to help quite a bit, and if he's able to keep that Sylvan Library off the table as well, this might be the. I'm guessing maybe he had the Howling Mind in hand.
Okay. Did Will pass without playing the?
I hope not.
That's where we're at, right? We're on Rich's turn. Well, Rich hasn't untapped, so we're still.
It's got to still be William's turn.
Yeah.
Interesting. So he did pass without playing the Stasis. He's probably. So Rich had a ton of untapped permanents as it was. He knew he was going into a turn where he was going to possibly have to counter one or two things. Maybe he was wanting to be able to get through that turn, use his mana and then untap his mana again on his turn and then redeploy Stasis. It's actually not the worst.
Yeah, it's something that I definitely would like. Not very intuitive to me, but I guess I understand what you're saying now.
Yeah. Yeah, he knows he's going to have to fight some battles this turn, so.
All right, so Sylvan Library, Seal Cleansing get cast. Also a Duress. Duress was the one that got Arcane denied.
Mm-hmm.
The Seal of Cleansing almost seems like an
I think
issue.
you have to fight over that Seal of Cleansing.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
All right, Thwart. And that was a hard cast Thwart.
Hard cast. So I think that was definitely the thought process there.
Okay.
Going into this turn.
The nice thing for Will is like with that, if the Howling Mind stays in play, it's pretty easy to like. You can use a number of counter spells, and then if the turn goes or the game goes a few more turns, you're drawing a bunch of cards. So.
Yep. Oh,
Is
now this, if
Armageddon?
it resolves, is going to be a problem.
How many cards does Will have? Because Rich has 2. Okay, we got a Thwart that is bouncing 3 islands.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that actually worked out pretty beautifully. He got right back to where he wanted to be. He's tapped down pretty much all of Rich's board. Now he's going to be able to redeploy Stasis. And I think he's positioned really well from here on out to take this one down.
Yeah, that was a really cool sequence from Will. I would not have thought about like bouncing a Stasis and then like passing the turn.
Yeah,
without
Stasis
playing
leads
itself.
a lot of very weird turn interactions sometimes. I think
Mhm.
in one of my matches last month, I actually had to put out 2 Stasis
Okay.
in one turn in order to ensure that I kept one through their untap, and it actually worked out really well.
We've got a Kismet.
Uh-oh.
Oh, but
Okay, I'm super confused now.
did
Super
something
duper confused.
did something happen with the Stasis that it did get bounced, right? Or did it die? Did it just die naturally? No,
No,
like
because he bounced the.
the Sylvan
He
Library.
had sacked the City of Traders. He had to have bounced it. Chat maybe knows. I don't know. We're missing something here,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, Rich being able to untap in that spot is really good. So, because the number of he's got Aura Silence and Ray of Revelation remaining, those are the cards that combat what Will is trying to do, right?
But
I,
he's also got 3 Gaze Blessings as well.
okay. Yeah, that would be actually really important in the spot is kind of use some of those. And he's got how many cards does he have with the scroll rack?
I just racked it, looked like for 3.
Okay.
Just to recap here, this is game 1. And it's all right. We got our first land tax hitting the board. I think he's gonna let that resolve. I think he's gonna fight over this one.
Okay. The Aura Silence, yeah, seems
Aura
like
Silence is bad news bears.
yeah, not only does it make it harder to cast the Stasis, but it makes it harder to keep Stasis in play.
Yeah.
I think the Arcane Denial was cast a while ago. I don't know if the extra draw triggers were utilized. It is something that like the
It's voluntary
yep,
on
on the spell that the one that got countered. Yeah,
opponents. Yeah.
it's up to 2 cards,
Yep.
but I think Will does not have the option to draw an extra card. That is a foil. That's going to get rid of the Aura of Silence.
Is it a foil?
I I don't think that one
Would you
is.
say he was foiled
He was foiled. That's for sure.
by the foil? Oh boy.
Do you have foils?
I don't.
Someone does. I can't remember who got the foils. But
I'll play foils and like I keep convincing myself that I'm gonna play EDH at some point, but I never really do. For most of like I'll play foreign cards. That's like my one
hmm
pet thing with pre-modern is I usually like to buy foreign cards, but not foils.
was that something that you enjoyed doing prior to pre-modern, or was that something that developed after you got invested in this format?
So when I came back to Magic, I was always big into foreign cards before, and so I initially got back into the game. I started buying up, all the staples for modern, and then got into legacy and all that. And then I found myself like having to ask what cards do, like for my own cards. Like I just don't know these cards. It's so bad. So I went back to English for all the new stuff, and but pre-modern's different. I know what all of these cards do,
Yeah.
so I have no problems playing them foreign versions that I can't read. So
Jared had said that you're the Korean master. Would you agree that
that's
you're?
not true.
I would say I had the impression that he is, but maybe you guys could share that title. I don't know.
No, I have I thought one time in my life I really enjoyed Korean cards, but my OCD prevents me from. I like to have them all match.
Okay.
So I've shifted more into Japanese printings, and
Okay.
I've conceded the Korean throne of sorts to.
All right, we got Stasis and Kismet in play.
This is
And
the dream. This
so
is literally the dream. If you're
basically,
taking notes, kids, this is what it's all about. Howling Mine, Stasis, Kismet, Black Vice.
so now all Will needs to do is answer the 5 mana that Rich has available, right? So he could Ray of Revelation would be 2 cards and 3 mana, and then like a Seal Cleansing. So there's basically like 3 more threats that he needs to counter. But is there a chance that Will decks out before Rich? That's the other consideration.
Always.
Because he used that
Always a
Felden Chains
chance.
pretty early.
Yeah, he did.
Because then it would just come down to decking at that point, right? Or I guess Black Vice. He's probably going to die to the Black Vice first. So maybe it's not that big of a deal.
One would hope.
We got life totals changing.
We don't know.
The Zuran Orb has...
Yeah, Zuran Orb did some work. I think he sacked like 4 lands or so.
Are deck lists up anywhere? I don't have like any links, but they are on the Premodern Facebook page. That would be the easiest place to get them. And then, like on my Twitter, I also have the images, but it doesn't have the written deck lists.
So Jared is a Stasis aficionado as well. I can't see chat at all, but I know that he has a fond appreciation for what's going on right now.
Yeah. Though he's not as fond at Will's choice for basics. I'll say that much.
I can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah. One of the more vocal people about new borders, yeah. I'm fine with it. People can play what they want, so.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely, and that's one of the greatest things about pre-modern too. I really love it when people brew to like try to like edge like the you'll play like the secret layer cards or the foil and it's just we're gonna make this as non-old bordered as possible, and it's great.
Jared says he's here for you, Ryan. That's why he's watching. So I don't think he was the only person that was very excited to have you in the booth. So
That's funny. I really appreciate it. You're helping me stay awake. No, but these are 2 of my favorite decks and strategies going on. And like I said, William's doing something here that many of us wish we could do. We know that in a perfect world, this is the way it would be drawn up. So
I think right now we're counting cards. I think
yeah,
that would determine
yeah.
of
See how deterministic this is
yeah.
from this point out, because he's pretty hard locked at this point.
Yeah, I think Rich is what's he shuffling from? Oh, Lantax. Yeah, I think if Rich knows that Will has like 3 counters, then he pretty much could answer anything. Okay, so we're gonna continue playing. I'm trying to think.
Did you see how many lands he drew? I want to say he runs. How many lands do they run? He's got to be getting pretty low on basics as well.
Yeah.
As long as he has access to 3, he's going to be able to continue to. Okay, he's on the 911, so 11 total.
Oh, we got a boomerang on your own Stasis. So is this a spot where I guess the only way Rich is able to fight is at instant speed is with Ray of Revelation, right?
Yeah.
All right. And then an end of turn impulse. Since Will gets to untap his mana, might as well cast that now. So
As Andrew would say, might as well.
Yeah, I have to imagine that. So is Will's plan not to deck out Rich, but to get him so that he takes too much damage from Black Vice? I guess he's looking for the other Black Vice. But
Well, I mean, one thing you're in control of, the other you're almost not. If his we haven't seen him gush in a while.
wait, the powder keg.
All right, Powder Keg could take out one untapped source and take out. It's going to put him to where he needs to use Zuran Orb now,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting.
Rich has an Enlightened Tutor. Okay. Yeah, I think like the big decision is like it's how hard to determine on like how many lands you need to sack.
Yeah, this is
Though
he's going to probably go and get Ivory Tower here because I think he's already been through Aura Silence, Seal of Cleansing, Zuran Orb. We haven't seen Ivory Tower yet. Um, yeah.
all right. And are you sacking any lands to Zuran Orb? Are you sacking all those tapped ones?
I think he does. Yeah, I think you're going to see those 5 tapped ones go at a bare minimum.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you. Yeah, I mean, Rich doesn't need that many lands in play. Like if he ever got to untap, like if a
No.
stasis wasn't in play. So yeah, I have to imagine that all these are getting sacked. Looks
Okay.
like is
3.
this just 3? Okay.
I'm okay with that too. Now 4. Now he's thinking about it. See, I'm very aggressive when it comes to this stuff. Life's a resource. You gotta.
Keeps one tapped, so he'll go up to 24.
Yep. I apologize about my dogs.
That's
Like
right.
my neighbors mowing their lawn.
Yeah.
They're very interested in that.
I'm envious that you'd be able to mow your lawn right now. We've got snow on the ground, and oh, it was like
It's very chilly here right now. It's like in the 70s.
yeah.
It's...
I dropped my daughter off at like a gymnastics place, and then all of a sudden, like when I started driving home, it's just like wind is blowing, and these big snowflakes are coming down, and like I had to get gas, and I'm like huddled. I'm like, oh my god, I'm way too cold. And I'm like, why do I live here? Why do I live here? Which deck does your dog cheer for? Stasis or Parfait
Stasis
Oath?
always. Yeah,
Always?
I've
Okay.
actually posted pictures of the one holding a stasis. He goes to bed at night. He has stasis under his pillow. Yeah, just like his dad.
Okay, so from this point, it feels like the game should be almost deterministic, but like I guess it's not quite. I struggle to see what both players like what Rich's game plan is. I guess.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, he's 1 or 2 spells away from having to. If I mean, they'll count cards to figure out if that's on the table as well. Um, but you either have. It just depends who has how many cards in their library. You're both of them are getting down to a point where there's not as many resources available. I have to assume William has more counter spells than Rich has, cards that are actually going to be impactful. So
Mhm.
it probably is coming down to deck size at this point for both players. Um,
And it was just the one Felden's Cane for Will to like kind of beef up his
yeah,
deck again.
yeah.
So
hmm
I'm trying to think
And
like
again, Rich has the 3 Gaze blessings, but he only has so much mana, and he has to combat through how a ton of counter spells on William's side. So
I've got my dog barking now. I don't know if you can hear her.
Probably heard my dogs, and then it's a thing.
I
They're
don't.
like, "What's up, homie?"
I don't think my dog. If my dog could hear your dogs through my earbuds, if she's upstairs with it, that would be. I think my eardrums would be broken. So, I mean, dogs do have good hearing, but I would hope she wouldn't be able to hear that. So,
All right, so we're going to shocker. We're going to pay for stasis and draw draw some cards. All right, so this has got to be the other vice. He's tapping a white.
oh,
Oh no,
Enlightened
we're
Tutor.
enlightened tutoring.
I
Okay.
mean, it could be for the other vice. So,
Yep. I think Sylvan Library did a ton of work this game. Really kind of kept him in the game. Um, whereas otherwise, if he didn't have the utility of that, it doesn't quite play out like this.
all right. So the tutor is gonna go find. Yeah, I have to imagine it's another black vice. Yes.
Yep. We're doing pretty good guessing tutor targets today.
This
We're
one I
like
think
four for four, I think.
this one was a little more obvious. I don't remember the other ones. I don't think I got the. I don't think I made predictions on the other ones. But
Oh, we're gonna get to this vice now, he's saying.
what I guess I'm lost
I
where
thought he
we're
was
at.
gushing, but maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, I maybe the
Maybe
gush.
that was a discard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably a discard. He's not wanting to, which makes sense. I wouldn't be casting Gush right now. I wouldn't, I'd be trying to conserve as much of that as possible in the event that the Black Vices aren't able to close out this game.
Well, is there any? I guess unless Will has 8 cards in hand, is there any reason for him to Enlighten Tutor on his turn?
He was discarding to
Okay.
hand size.
Okay. So it was that factor. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Looks like Rich is discarding Swords to Plowshares since that one I don't think he needs. What
All right. Come on, let's sack it and get that library back in hand again.
what card is that?
That's a Chain of Vapor, but it's like a commander version, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah. You got to keep up with the times, man.
Yeah, I struggle with a lot of the newest stuff, but all right. I didn't know that one got reprinted.
Yeah, I think it was in a commander deck a few years ago. I think they're counting counter spells at this point. See.
I mean, you really only need 2, right?
Well,
Because
you're gonna need to counter the Gaea's Blessings and 2 Ray of Revelations that we haven't seen yet. I mean, there's 1 Ray, but one for each direction.
do you even need to counter the guy's blessing? Like, what do you think? One black vice kill, 2 black vice kill Rich before that?
Possibly. But Rich is able to, again, he's manipulating his library to some degree with Sylvan Library. I definitely wanted to see that bounce and bounce that Sylvan Library, though. I definitely would have sacked the land there, I think.
Well, because of the Howling Mine, Rich will be drawing 2 cards every turn, and he's only able to play 1 land. I guess if like Mox Diamonds get shuffled back in, like that's another card.
They're already all gone.
Okay.
We've already
Yeah.
determined those are worthless
Yeah.
in the format right now. They have no value, and they die to a powder keg for free. You saw that? Even the one that was getting used, it was just like, no.
Do you think it's ever like in a future game? Is it ever worth trying to go after the Kismet rather than the Stasis?
No.
No. Okay. Rich is down to 20. Um, Yeah, I feel like unless like the deck size of Will is way too small, I guess his library does look pretty small at this point. Maybe Rich can stay under it long enough
Mm-hmm.
uh, to deck out Will.
The fact that all these are white border as well is just such a thing of beauty.
Well, I know Rich has alternate fourth edition, so we do see the Brave Revelation. So here, this is gonna be targeting the Stasis, and then it does have the option to flash back just for green. This is one of the cards that I really enjoy, and like it being in the main deck probably makes some matchups like really good for the Parfait Oath.
Oh, is this gonna be trip days? I love it.
How often do you see days get utilized on turn 37?
In stasis?
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean,
Yeah,
do you feel like how often do you feel like the Stasis games go this long?
rarely.
Yeah, I would say like I feel
Yes,
like
it's usually this type of matchup to
yeah,
where they're going to have ways to discard cards to get out from under Black Vice. You have to, really try to figure out alternative win.
all right, so Rich is tapped out. So it just comes down to staying under Black Vice, I think now, or will decking out first.
What was that? 9 cards that I counted?
I am not sure. If I had to guess, I thought it was 11, but I didn't start counting at the right time. Okay. Looks like we have a concession. I'm not. I just want to confirm who it's from. I think that was that Rich conceding. I think so.
I have no idea.
I'm gonna check. All right.
We want to take bets from chat.
I like how we're trying to follow the game and we're not even sure who won. Okay, Will won. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Just there have been times where I've like looked and like just reading body language, I've gotten it wrong of like who wins. So
Mm-hmm.
all right, so we are gonna go into our second game. This is still again without sideboard. Rich says, "I hope the audiences are appreciating our match. They're getting their full values worth. That's for sure." Do you think that's pretty typical of how the match pre-board will play out, or do you think there are a lot of situations where Rich is able to like preemptively play um Aura of
One of the
Silence?
steals.
Yeah, or Seal, yeah.
Um, so Rich didn't get land tax or a score rack until later on that game. I would like to think that there's a lot of games where it doesn't quite play out exactly like that. If you get that engine out early enough, then you are going to be able to generate so much value and be able to, basically play whatever spells. When we get to the sideboarded games, I can't help but feel that Rich is going to be quite a bit more favored in the matchup as well. I guess we should talk about that, maybe after this game. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, like obviously, one aspect is he is taking out a ton of dead cards, um,
yeah,
and I have to think that there are at least some cards. Just being able to cast certain cards is a benefit in certain situations, because if you have a Sword to Plowshares that is sitting in your hand, it's without a target. It is something that opens you up to Black Vice dealing you more damage.
but I mean, just meddling mage in and of itself can just absolutely win the game.
Hmm.
It's a clock. It prevents him from playing the one thing that he wants and needs to be doing. So being able to resolve that's going to be huge.
Who is the good guy in this matchup?
Stasis.
Stasis is the good guy.
100%.
Is that? Do you feel like it like Parfait Oath is like public enemy number one?
So I actually have 2 pillows that I sleep on, and these go under one pillow, and these go under the other. So not really, but the
Maybe you're just an evil guy. Maybe
it's
that's like maybe you're. Are you the bad guy in the pre-modern world? Is that what
probably,
you are?
yeah, yeah. The guy everybody loves to hate. Yeah, I'm always trying to play some sort of prison strategy or something of that nature. So, but I wouldn't say it's. I think it's a very fair deck, in a lot of ways. But it does do broken things, and it does broken things very efficiently, and it has answers to everything. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's probably the bad guy when you compare the 2 different decks.
All right, players are shuffling up for game number 2. Will on the Stasis deck is up a game, and we're playing a best of 5 match. So still likely going to have a lot more magic for this match. So I think
Yep.
Will was planning on having friends over to play pre-modern in a couple hours. Let's see if if he'll be able to finish that match beforehand.
he might he might want to push it back just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Maybe he can get like the crowd behind him and rally behind, so he's
Yeah,
got
right.
like the audience to give him the energy that he needs. All right, Rich is going to start with a turn 1 land tax. So
Yeah.
that was an aspect he said was missing from game 1, and he does have that available. Though he does play a second land right away. Is there a merit, do you think, to try to trigger it? Right, I guess it would open you up to opportunities to get like Black Feist out. So maybe not.
Mhm.
He's got a Seal Cleansing with the mana up, so that it's available for days. So still Arcane Denial and Foil would be at play here. Arcane Denial is from Will.
And we did get our draw triggers there. We both missed whether or not they were taken in the first game, but we got them that time, guys.
BK says we should do a bracket of good versus evil of all the deck types. I think sometimes
That's actually a great idea.
yeah, it would be really fun to vote. I think sometimes it's a little bit relative depending on like what you play. Like, but in general, you could say like where does this deck lean like on the spectrum or whatnot. Or it would be.
I think a lot of times Stasis is the bad guy more often than not, but like maybe here it's not. So yeah, I like the idea.
Have you ever heard of the game Squeeze?
No.
So I had seen someone play it on stream a really long time ago, but I think it would be okay. Say I have like 8 slots up, and someone would say a deck, and so if this squeeze is about like the good guy versus bad guy, and we'll say one is the best guy, and then 8 is the most evil guy for decks. Someone would say a deck, and then I would have to like put it at a place. So if someone said, and it's obviously very subjective and it's just what's in my mind, but if I put it at 1, then I'm saying like don't ever pick a deck that is a good, like a better good guy than the deck that I put at 1, because if you ever do
there's no better good guy.
Yeah. And so it gets to the point of when you kind of get down to certain slots, it's like, okay, there's maybe like the 3rd slot is remaining and then the 7th slot is remaining, so you have to try and find a deck that I would think is in between 2 and 4 to get that 3 slot, or between 6 and 8 to get that 7 slot. Because if you don't, then you get a strike, and if you get 3 strikes, then you lose. But the goal is to try and fill in all the spots. So
That's really cool.
It's kind of.
I think there's so many decks that that's great.
And you could do it with any topic. You could just say like,
oh sure,
best types of cookies or something, or like color, like what, I don't know, anything like with some arbitrary amount, and it would, just a way to fill the time. But good guy is always the underdog. I could say I would disagree in a sense. There are times that like if someone brings like a wacky off the wall deck, it could be really favored in a matchup, and it still is like the good guy in the matchup. I think a lot of the time is, do people have fun playing against a deck, and like how popular it is, and like how novel is it? I don't know. Those I feel like are the factors that kind of give me the idea of what a good guy and bad guy is in matchups.
All right. Are we discarding the hand size? Did that just happen? Is that where we're at already? So we're definitely playing the long game here. It's like, I'm not going to play any spells. I'm not going to. I think he's sitting on a handful of Mox Diamonds right now, waiting for the Black Vice to come down for the inevitable I gotcha moment.
There is a Black Vice.
We're going to find out soon.
We have a follow from
Look at the
those potatoes has followed. So welcome to the stream. What were you giggling about?
placement of Stasis right on top of the Forbidden. Yeah.
Forsaken City, yeah.
Forsaken City, yeah. It's like, this belongs here.
We have another follow from Viverica X. Thanks for your support. All right, so is the Black Vice? Because Rich had like six or had. Wait, was Rich the one that
discarded
discarded?
hand size last turn, so
all right,
yeah. Rich has got some catching up to do this time, for sure.
Did you know that Forsaken City was played like in top 8 decks? It was in the Angry Hermit decks, the 2.0 ones, not like the. It was used because it was a way to like, you could use Hermit Druid at the end of turn, and then also like, or you could activate the Hermit Druid during your upkeep, and then also untap it.
Oh,
so that
you were
had
able
access
to use it. No, that makes sense.
Use it twice in that one turn. And I know when Flint and I were talking about the discussion of the deck, we initially had it in the list, but it just didn't come up enough, and it was the downside was too much.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
All right, I'm missing Black Vice triggers, so Rich is at 11. I think maybe his hand was just clunkier than maybe we expected, and he doesn't have the luxury of like tapping out to cast like a scroll rack. Like is not a card you want to cast in this position because it just uses up your mana, and it's not really unfortunate for him that he's not drawing lands because it's not like there's a Kismet in play right now.
Yeah, this is a very tough spot to be in. No matter what, any type of answer is going to cost you 2 mana plus, and there's going to be a counterspell for it at this point. So. Mm-hmm.
This is a very, very different game than the first, is what it looks like so far. Looks like it could be done on turn 10 as compared to the last one, which...
I'm glad I buckled up for this one.
Chat said Rich seems to have a great anti-goblins hand. Yeah, unfortunately that doesn't line up to a great hand against Stasis. So, oh, why keep in the play? Have not got to sideboarding yet. The first 2 games are with sideboard. Yeah, we're doing a best of 5. So, all right, Black Vice goes down to 5. Ryan, are you still there? We lost the video feed from you. I haven't heard. All right, we're without Ryan for a moment, so maybe he was just sick of the matchup. He's like, I'm out of here. He was talking about how he was ready for the long haul, and he lied. He had to go do something. So Duress is going to come down for a Rich. This is going to be met with a thwart, so that'll pick up 3 lands for Will. So that's almost like beneficial in some way. So he'll have more untapped lands to play and then pay for Stasis, and then Rich doesn't get to see his hand. Oh. Okay, let's try and figure out what the tech issues are. Are you there, Ryan?
I'm here.
Okay. It looked like Rich had dropped, and I refreshed, and then so they might have to rejoin. Just gonna let the players know that it's working again for me.
All right, we got William back.
Hello.
All right. Well, if you
Welcome
just
back.
want to mute us, we're gonna mute you. But I think Rich will just need to refresh, and we should be good. All right. So, as we get things situated, we work through our tech difficulties with Whereby, but all right, we got Rich back. Rich, if you want to mute us, we'll mute
I'm
you.
doing terribly,
Then
but I'm back. So
Okay.
that's all.
All right. So let's jump back to our playing screen. All right. Got a little bit of time left before Rich dies to a black vice. That's where we're at.
Not much time though.
No. It's really unfortunate for Rich that he hadn't been hitting lands after that black vice came down, because that at least gives you the options to maybe cast a few spells, but it was pretty much brick after brick, and he had a real clunky hand, so he's
All
gonna
right, this is the last hurrah, I
go
believe.
for Aura South. Yeah, because if this gets countered, then I have to imagine then Rich is just out of options. Does Will not have a counterspell? I feel like I would be showing it.
No, he just dazed.
Oh, okay. And then Rich is gonna play
Told you he had Mox Diamond.
Mox Diamond, but no lands to
Aren't
pitch,
you glad
so...
you got your fourth?
Yeah, yeah. So he's got 5 cards in hand. He's gonna take 1 damage, and then 2, and then 3. So Rich has, at the fewest, he's got 3 more turns.
I bet he draws a land.
Jared has asked, Mike, have you seen Ryan's tournament deck gauntlet set up? I don't think I have. Like in terms of the decks that he's playing, or like that, like the play area that he streams. Do you know what he's talking about?
I don't. The way you word it, what did he say?
Have you seen Ryan's tournament deck gauntlet set up?
Oh, I think I do know what he's talking about.
Okay.
You want to clarify that just so I don't get it wrong? But I do think I know what he's talking about.
All right, Rich at 1, and another turn goes by, and he's not able to get out from under the black vice, and Will's up 2-0 against the Parfait Oath deck, and so now we go to sideboarding. All right, let's jump over to the decks.
Let's chat.
Yeah.
Let us chat.
All right, I have the Parfait Oath list up. So how many cards? Oh man, there are 2 Ray of Revelations, and the Duress, and Aura of Silence.
He gets everything.
There's a lot of cards that can. So
Gerard's Verdict. He
Yeah.
gets the Argivian Find or whatever that is.
Mhm.
Tormod's Crypt.
And he has enough to bring, like, so he has a ton of cards he wants to bring out, like 4 Swords of Plowshares, 4
Oh, yeah.
Oath of Druids, a Shard Phoenix, Ancestor Chosen. So that's 10 cards. Does he have 10 cards to bring in? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh yeah, I mean all the. I'm with the exception of like Engineered Plagues and Copperheads, Pyroclasm. I think almost all of this has a place.
Yep. Even Tormod's Crypt seems good. I mean, it actually
not?
interacts well, and I was just thinking of from a 0 mana card to play out of your hand. It seems fine
Yeah.
in some situations, but yeah, they're Rich's deck gets tremendously better.
Yeah.
Um,
And I don't think that the Stasis deck does it all. I mean, he can bring in some extra Tormod's Crypts to try to win that battle, but again, Rich almost has as many as him. He has 1 in the main, 1 in the board, so he can go up to 3. He does have Felton's Cane, which is okay. He can bring in another Powder Keg, which seems to be a pretty good choice. in this matchup and Seal of Cleansing. But yeah, most of this stuff is not very exciting.
Are there any cards? There's no real card in the main that seems bad, is there? So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at. Oh. Yeah, I don't know what you would take out, but the options that he have certainly are less impactful than what Rich gets to upgrade to. So
Absolutely. I think that, obviously being down 2 games here is not where you want to be, but I'm not feeling completely out of it either. If I'm in Rich's seat here, I think that your deck gets so much better, moving forward. So what what he's talking about is I have years ago I put together all the world championship decks, and I have basically like them all together. And if you lay them out, there is the first New York one, which they did the top 8 decks for. And then they did, I think there's 32 other decks. So there's 4 per year. They did, however many years it is, 9 years or 8 years or whatever you're worth of World Championships decks. So there's like 40 in total. But it's kind of cool because, like, if you want to get together with your friends, you can basically choose, all right, so I'll roll an 8-sided die to figure out what year we're playing, right? And then we roll a 4-sided die to figure out what decks we're playing against each other, and it kind of makes it a lot of fun.
have you had a lot of opportunities to play those decks against each other?
No, there's been a couple times where we've got. I really want to do like an event or something. I think it would be a lot of fun. I mean, some of them are completely, overpowered in comparison to the others. But if you keep it all random, it's just, all fun, anyways.
You could also do. I was thinking like if you roll random for one die, and then you could either do the year before or the year after, and then it's probably a little bit relative like closer in power level.
Okay, yeah.
And because I know, though, I really like the World Championship decks, and it seems really fun. I think the era, I think that feels like the most balanced is probably like the invasion Mercadian, or yeah, invasion and Mercadian blocks,
Mm-hmm.
and then the invasion Odyssey ones.
Yeah, once Saga was out of there.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm working on getting a full collection of those. I don't know if I ever get to the point. How long have you how long when did you complete that collection?
Probably 4 or 5 years ago or something. Before I mean, they were still a little bit pricey, some of them, but not to like. I think I got, like 11 decks on one auction on eBay,
Okay.
for like not much. And, and it took me like over a year to assemble all of them because I was buying, I wasn't buying them brand new in a
Mhm.
box or anything like that. So I was doing it kind of on a budget at the time. But eventually, got there. But they're so expensive now.
Yeah, I have like an eBay search result, and I check them all the time. But a lot of times
Mhm.
they're more than I want to pay. But every now and then you find a good deal. All right,
Yeah.
we're in game number 3.
All right, let's go.
Rich is going to kick things off with a land tax off an Undiscovered Paradise. And
All
I
right,
don't.
we are bringing in the Crypts.
Okay, I don't know if
He's putting on the Crypts. No, all right, sorry.
So Rich does a much better job of having a number of threats. I mean, like threats in terms of answers to what Will is trying to do. So uh I feel like, I don't know, it's he can be he doesn't have to feel like he's going to get caught with like a stasis. If stasis comes down, he's still able to like develop mana and like stay under a black vice, because he'll be able to draw into cards that answer what Will is trying to do. But
Yep.
I mean, do you think I think it's very possible we see a reverse sweep here, that Rich is going to come back
It's
and win all 3 of these sideboard games.
Yep. Yeah, we saw this in what, 2004, Boston and New York.
The one I was thinking was the Berlin.
Mm.
With LSV, he started down like 0-2 on all his matches. Do you have a favorite Pro Tour top 8? At least for the webcast one to watch?
No, but I should. I really should be able to answer that question right off the cuff. 100% this is it. I really liked watching Luis Sabato play Lantern Control a couple of
Okay.
years ago. But I wouldn't say that's by any stretch of the imagination probably my favorite. I'll have to do a little bit of research and get back to you on that because that's a great question that I'm really sad I don't have an immediate answer for.
My favorite one is Pro Tour Los Angeles, the one that was extended with Antoine Royal. And then I think my second is Pro Tour Honolulu, the Craig Jones, Mark Herberholtz one.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we got all these sideboard cards coming into play already.
All right, Gerard's verdict is still on the stack, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Will has discarded. Well, one must be a
That's
land
just
and
a
an Arcane Denial.
great card in this matchup, I think. It does a lot of what you're wanting a card to do.
I would say it'd be funny if Rich ever targeted himself with Gerard's verdict to get under a black vice. Do you think?
All right, so we searched out the plane super early. This is
Well, I was just thinking because Chad had said like I think naming Chain of Vapor with Meddling Mage is key. Well, we see if Seal of Cleansing is the reason. Do you think Will brings in like 1 or 2 copies of Swords of Plowshares? I mean,
it's just one of those things where the meddling mages are coming in. So Chain of Vapor is a great name.
He still does have a boomerang. And he also could like have a powder keg that would tick up to 2. But just being able to like nullify like one of, I guess it's not like if you just answered the meddling mage you win. So maybe I'm putting too much focus on that, but
I still think that more often than not, you're just going to name Stasis under the meddling mage. If they do have Chain of Vapor, then obviously they can answer. Get it back to your hand and eventually answer it. But at the same time, now they don't have a Chain of Vapor to play games with Stasis. So
the one thing I would say is really good from Rich's perspective is he has so many answers to a card like Stasis with like 3 Ray Revelations and then all the Aura Silences and whatnot, and then like
sure,
I think that makes like naming Chain of Vapor a little bit better. You could even name like Black Vice. I mean, if it weren't in play, but yeah. So I think in general, yeah, it makes sense to maybe name Stasis, but like in this situation, if Rich has things covered like with Rave Revelations, then maybe you name a different card, but.
See, what you don't want to happen here is get pinched on blue mana. You do need a certain number of islands to keep,
Yeah,
to do what you want to do.
The thwarts and the gushes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Or just, I mean, cast your spells too.
I always recommend drawing more than 2 lands. I know there's
the doctor's advice, the Godfather's advice.
Yeah. Yes. Take 3 of these and call me in the morning. That's definitely about lands. It's nothing to do with anything else.
All right, Paradise gets back to hand and then gets replayed, and now we have a scroll rack.
Yeah. So now you're definitely not going to see him play any more lands.
Yeah, but like, if Will doesn't commit anything more, like, I don't know, it just seems difficult for him to pick spots to fight. Like, if the game just goes like this for a while, I guess Yeah, especially because there's
It's
a seal.
difficult for him to fight at all.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, if he's playing the okay, I'm not going to play lands to not get into the land tax scroll rack battle, then I mean he can't even get in counterspell battles later on down the road.
Hmm.
He's able to counter one spell and maybe daze another, maybe thwart some or foil something, but it's just not going to add up well. Whereas Rich is going to be able to do whatever he wants. He's going to eventually draw into diamonds, or
Yeah, I
I
would
bet
say
you
like
even plays one or two of them
yeah, and they stay in play.
in play. Yeah,
All right. I mean, okay.
yeah. It's a big decision whether you're going to run out this land or not here. So
So Will plays the third land. End of turn, Rich is gonna use the scroll rack with the Undiscovered Paradise. So he's gonna put some bad cards on top. Gonna untap. The Paradise comes back to his hand. He's gonna oh, not the scroll rack.
not the scroll rack, you silly goose.
Wait. Oh, the eight. Yeah. Why is the scroll rack in his hand? Okay, there we go. We've got it figured out. Like, there's no chain of vapor. All right, scroll rack back in play. Triggering land tax. That's where we're at.
There was a recent errata to scroll rack because of this interaction that every time you use it, you have to put it back in your hand. It's the new alchemy version of it. We fixed it, guys. Don't worry. Nothing to see here.
It's funny, like if scroll rack were like printed in today's standard, I don't think it would do like anything. I think
No.
you don't
Like,
you don't have enough time to.
I'm
dribble
winning the
around.
game then.
Yeah.
Is scroll rack, is that where I keep my playset of Ragavans?
Yes. All right. Does Rich have to worry about like Black Vice at all? Like is he able to not keep that seal cleansing in play and still kind of do what he wants, or do you think he's?
I think he does for a few turns.
Okay.
I mean, if he's able to draw into another answer or a Ivory Tower to offset it, then great. If not, like he's got his backup plan already. He could definitely afford to take a little bit of damage here to kind of work through all that. And it's only going to be, a couple turns until he really kind of gets to screw the vices down or the clamps or.
There's an
Oh,
Ivory
there
Tower.
it is. You see, it's always there. There's always some sort of answer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, remember, kids, active players' abilities go on the stack first. So, in the event that Rich find himself at very low life, they're oh well, never mind. None of that matters.
Oh, Arcane
We're
Denial.
counterspelling it.
Right. Yeah, Will only has 2 cards in hand. He uses one of them to counter the Ivory Tower.
Yeah, but he's going to get to replenish some of that here as well. So that's not the worst. All right, let's all draw some cards, shall we?
If you're Rich, you're drawing the extra 2, right? Yep.
Yeah, yeah. For all the same reasons we just talked about. Like I think it's only a turn or two until we actually get an answer. He's got an answer on board if he really feels he needs to use that.
Yeah, with Will with such a low hand count, it's hard to feel in danger by anything that he's doing.
Yeah.
All right, 3 damage taken from a Black Vice. I feel like this is a situation
4.
where you. Oh, 4. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, drawing cards from Arcane Denial.
Yeah, that's like another time that like someone's taking more than 3 damage from a Black Vice, and I like do a double take. I'm like, how is that possible? Oh yeah, they're drawing cards on the other turn, but yeah, this is probably the spot where you're like, this is the happiest I've ever been to take 4 damage from a Black Vice.
Yeah, the only problem is the Tormod's Crypts for the long game are kind of uh, adding a different dynamic to this game, because even if he does have to eventually use his seal on the Black Vice to keep this engine going, he's losing a seal, an Ivory Tower, one of his own Crypts, Duress, which are all kind of important things that you're going to want to eventually start recycling if you do get to that long game where you're going Gaea's Blessing and doing all that. And again, when you're drawn like 12 cards a turn, it might not matter at all. Because he's in that situation with the land tax and scroll rack, but it is something that's he's going to need to consider here.
The one thing I don't see the games going as long because Rich has like the meddling mages and he's so good at keeping Stasis off the table.
Yeah.
That like I think Rich is gonna win with damage in these post-border games a lot of the time.
I'd like to see him cast Akroma. I hope it came in, and I'd like to see him swing.
I had played a pattern rock deck like at a local meetup, and I was surprised on how many times I cast Akroma. Like on the day I played 4 rounds and I cast it like 5 times. It was surprising.
With what, Birds of Paradise and
yeah, or just the games went long. There was one time it got countered and then I brought it back with Oath of Ghouls and cast it the next turn and and then I think it got countered again and then I finally cast it a third time and then it might have got in once and then it got Swords to Plowshares, but it won one game. I played against Stasis, then that's how I won the game. If you keep Akroma in play, it's pretty good against Stasis. Yes,
I heard.
it's funny there are multiple decks with Akroma in this top 8. It's in the blue-black Reanimator deck that Tom Matelski is playing as well.
Yeah, there's been some debates lately if that's really a good card to play in Reanimator. I still think it's your premium threat. Yeah, I can't get Animate Dead, but who cares?
Yeah, it's been a while since I revisited Reanimator. I played it like years ago, and so the metagame's changed a lot. But I feel like the aggro decks are less of the issue, and it's more of I want a card that provides value against like a deck like Parfait Oath or Stasis. Well, Akroma's fine against Stasis, but
all right, here we go. We're gonna see the first Tormod's Crypt get popped off.
So even if this Tormod's Crypt goes, the Gaea's Blessing will still resolve and draw a card, right?
Yeah, it's gonna. Wait, I'd have to read it.
If all the
He's shuffling, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we do have a Serra Sanctum that entered play. That's one thing that it got discarded, I think, in game 1. But it currently taps for 2 mana, and there might be more enchantments that are added. We see Rich casting a Duress,
Wow.
so there's not too many cards in Will's hand, and looks like there's.
So he did bring in the plows.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that makes sense. I guess
it does.
It might change a little bit because Rich has, I don't know if so many like Duresses, but like it's not a foolproof plan just to keep swords in your hand for a meddling mage, because if Rich is patient enough, he can just Duress it away.
Yep. Wow.
Gaea's Blessing number 2. I don't know if I feel like I don't think I would use the Crypt in that spot.
Got rid of both Duresses.
Oh, maybe that's the idea. Okay.
Yeah. Though he brings in a third, is that if my memory serves me correctly, I think. But
Sorry, what was that?
I think there's 3 in total, is what I was saying.
I think there are 2 in the main and 1 in the sideboard. I think the sideboarded one is like a 7th edition one. I think that's how he. Same with Engineered Plague. There was 1 in the main and 1 on the board, and he used different versions. All right. Rich is going to take a couple points of damage from Black Vice, but still in a very good position against Will.
He just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna say, is this Sir's weird and coming down?
Will
See
finds
William starting to drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a good opportunity, he says that.
I don't think this is a celebratory.
No.
This is more of a coping type of a situation.
It was maybe I got 2 games off of Rich. Maybe that's what he's thinking.
Yeah. It's the moral victory.
All right, Zura's weirding in play. And at this point, Rich is probably pretty close to being able to just prevent Will from drawing anything relevant with the weirding. Also, Will does not have very good control of what Rich will draw because of Scroll Rack. Any card that he gets put into his hand can just be swapped because Scroll Rack is not a draw. It sets him aside. So it's kind of like any card that Rich gets does have a lot of value. We have a follow from Mr. Scribble. So welcome. All right, we get to see hands.
Mr. Scribble. Oh, look at this.
It's a good poker hand as well.
Yeah, right?
2 Armageddons, 2 Ray of Revelation, and 2 Undiscovered Paradise.
I got 3 pairs.
Yeah. And Will is going to show Island, Seal Cleansing. A little less
you think
impressive.
He's going to let him draw Seal of Cleansing?
Oh, I think that's already in his hand.
Oh, that's right. He probably got it off the impulse. Okay, that makes sense.
So, I mean, that maybe would change things. But Rich has 2 Armageddons. I don't even know if he would want to use the Armageddons here, because he still would have 2 Mox Diamonds. But I don't know. Oh, I guess I forgot about Scroll Rack as well. So he's just gonna face up right away. We see some Meddling Mages.
Wow.
Those seem good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so if you just resolve the Meddling Mage, name Stasis, and then name Chain of Vapor, you're probably pretty good. Well, I guess you named Seal Cleansing. Okay, never mind. I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't sure that he was gonna be able to cast Meddling Mage on this turn.
I thought he was gonna use it as a coaster.
Right.
I was like, that's it's the perfect Seal of Cleansing.
All right, he named Seal Cleansing.
Yep.
And yeah, little Meddling Mage I think is might just go the distance. You give him Forsaken City. I would 100%. Say yes. Yes.
Enjoy the Forsaken City.
All right. It's funny, like the Zura's weirding. Yeah. Do you want me to? Would you like me to put this Ray of Revelation in my graveyard?
Would you like me to put this in my graveyard?
And Will said no. I would like to move on to the next game.
So, for those of you that are not familiar with the rulings of this game, there is a rule. It's 104.3A, which says a player can concede at any time. It doesn't use the stack. There's no priority. We're done here. We're going to the next game.
All right. The one thing I do always like to see with the best of 5 matches is how sideboarding can kind of like go back and forth based on like what you see, and try and do a little bit of mind games.
So the first Meddling Mage names Chain of Vapor. The second one names Swords Plowshares. The third one goes wee all the way home.
Yeah. All right, so I think I'm gonna go grab something to drink real quick. So I'm gonna be right back.
Okay, I will hold down the fort while you're gone.
All right.
I've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time.
Don't say anything too bad about me. Don't spill all my secrets.
Hold on. No, don't concern yourself. We're okay here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today. Voight, you can go on. You're good. All right. All right, now that I have your attention, I love you guys. This is the greatest community ever. Thank you for being with me here today to enjoy these two titans of this wonderful game that we play that, clearly enjoy locking people up and playing prison strategies and doing wonderful things. So this is the best place you could be right now, and I'm glad you're here with me. Ooh, I'm getting a text. Oh, Rich really hopes that the crowd's enjoying this. I think that they are. Are you guys enjoying it? Yes, Ref. That is my favorite rule as well. I actually, I've thought about getting a 104.3A tattoo a number of times. We got a hell yeah. Nice. All right. So he's probably going to put his headphones on here any second. Just don't talk about anything that we're just keep that between me and you guys.
I did look at chat as soon as before I sat down. I'm like, can I glean any information about what you were talking about?
No, we behaved ourselves, I think, a little bit.
You do know I have access to the VODs, right?
I don't even know what that means. I'm
All right. So, I mean, we kind of talked about how good Rich's game plan comes in the sideboards. Do you think, like, does Will have a chance? Or do you think it's just kind of writing on the wall that Rich is going to take these next
No, there's
two games?
always a chance. Like, if you get, the very aggressive, like, Black Vice into extremely early stasis with days back up, type of a situation, you definitely have a chance. I think that's what he needs to probably almost aggressively mulligan towards in these next three games. That's what up two games in a best of five set. That's kind of where I would be too. It's not like, oh, I have lance and spells. It's like, no, I need to do a very specific thing. He's got all the answers that he possibly needs, and there's no realistic expectation that I'm going to win the long game here. So that's kind of where I would be here. So to answer your question, yes.
All right.
I think there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance.
Mm-hmm. Chat was talking about like alternate win conditions and stasis. They were pointing at a card like Morphling. Do you think that adds a dynamic to stasis that like, because a lot of lists I think have foregone putting Morphling in their 75. Do you think there's merit to having that?
So I've gone to more of a approach like William has. I definitely tinker with both Felden's Cane and Morphling. The stasis list that you're playing now, it's very difficult to, even though you have access to Gush and a lot of other thwarts and all this other stuff, it's very difficult to actually maintain a stasis and aggressively play Morphling with everything else that you're combating right now. So it is an option, and now that there we are, we have Black Vice turn one. Now that we're seeing different stuff like show and tell in the format now, that might be something that goes back to because that is an answer where you're able to, okay, I now have a threat, I'm able to do this, and so who knows what the future holds for it. But yeah, there's definitely some alternate win conditions. My favorite one's boredom. That usually wins you the majority of them, actually.
Will might be excited to actually trigger a land tax for once.
Heck yeah.
When you have a Black Vice in play. But I had
do it, I dare you.
I would say, I guess maybe Rich doesn't necessarily have an answer to the Black Vice right away. Just getting the land tax in play, you can just choose not to trigger it. Or choose not to find anything. I don't know if it's an option like not to. I think you have to shuffle your deck. Like what if it triggers? Is the trigger part of May, or is it just like the finding part of May? You may search. Okay, so you can deny the searching ability. All right.
Yeah, you could fail to find.
Well, I knew that was the case, but I just wasn't sure if you like if you knew the top card of your deck, if you didn't have to shuffle, like because failing to find would
Oh
mean that you
yeah,
shuffle.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
the first part is a May. So all right,
Oh,
so we
right. What do we
see
got here?
Seal of Cleansing took out a land tax, and then Rich follows up with a scroll rack. So
Here's your stasis.
quick stasis.
Boom.
All right. So this is kind of the setup that you kind of talked about.
This is what you want to do, and this is where you have a shot. We got a real shot here.
So Rich needs to have land or mana. So it could be Mox Diamond, but I guess if you have Mox Diamond, that also means you have land. And then answers to Stasis, which he does have a lot of. I mean, it's Seal of Cleansing, Aura of Silence, Ray of Revelation, which he has all multiple copies of. But
you need to draw them, and you need to resolve them.
Yeah, and then like any
if he
turn
has one counter spell or daze or anything of that nature, you're in bad shape.
That's good. Like the first good step is like that Rich was able to play a land every turn, because if you start missing land drops, you start taking way more damage from the Black Vice, so you have way less time. Here,
and he does have one activation, a curse scroll as well, to kind of continue to do that. But gosh,
the scroll rack would be a last ditch effort to kind of like find something. Yeah. Stasis is going to get exiled to pay for Stasis. All right, Rich doesn't take any damage, so right now he's at 4 cards and has a land, so he's staying at 4 cards.
Yeah, he's just showing off right now. He's trying to play like he's in this game. I don't know if he's in this game. I really don't.
Well, he's definitely had the right sequence of the initial turns of what Will is trying to do. So definitely hopeful that I think Rich is that he can find enough answers to the Stasis. The only issue is
he's like one gush away from being out of this game, I think.
Okay. Like
to me.
If
go ahead.
I would say like if Will just has a Chain of Vapor, that really complicates things for Rich, right?
I guess, well, he's going to do it on his turn, right? So ideally it's Ray of Revelation. That's what he wants to be trying to answer this with. And then Rich is really looking to get a Duress and to get the information that he needs and take care of one of the threats before. See, he's going to need to activate Scroll Rack here pretty soon. But the problem with that is then you have all the cards stacked on top of your library that don't do anything, right?
Yeah, so, you would need to find like a Windswept Heath or an Enlightened Tutor.
Yep. And if that's not there, then you're in big trouble.
Best case would be a Windswept Heath, because you don't need to spend a mana, and it can't be countered. Because like an Enlightened Tutor might be something that actually like Will would fight over, just so that could prevent him from kind of keep him locked onto that scroll rack.
Yep.
But one thing that's always like a little weird is, I guess in this spot you don't have the luxury of waiting because there's the Black Vice, but like sometimes you just don't want to cast spells against Stasis because like they have Wart and Daze.
It allows them to keep their Stasis longer.
Yeah,
right?
It plays into what they're trying to do. I guess in this case, Will already has a Forsaken City, so. All right, Rich is down to 9, so the damage is adding up. He's just going to pass the turn without doing anything, so he's trying to find the right spot to pick a fight, which is really, I mean, that's what this whole match is going to come down to, basically. If he can...
You will see some action here in the next 2 turns, I believe.
Yeah.
He's going to be forced into doing this. And this is going to force his hand right now. Now he's putting everything on top, so his hand was literal garbage, as far as playable spells. So what he's wanting to see here is Windswept Heath, Duress, and some sort of answer.
One thing I noticed, like Rich didn't like rearrange the cards that he put back in any way, so I don't know if he just knew which card he wanted to draw, or if he just
I think it's just one of those things with this deck. Like, there's literal, like, it's all stuff that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Or he had it set up before. So he did have Windswept Heath. That's good.
Rich is at 6, right? Or is that a 9? I don't even know.
It should be 6. He was
Okay.
at 9 the turn before.
Okay.
I believe he had a full grip.
Does have a Windswept Heath, so that's the card he needed to. That's
Yep.
the best way to shuffle his library, I think, from the spot.
So you're gonna see some action here. I think that the Undiscovered Paradise is gonna be tapping for black, ideally, and start off with the Duress and go from there.
All right, is probably a seal cleansing. Okay. I mean, there's no duress. I mean, that's good for Will's perspective. I guess he still has 3 mana that Rave Revelation could be the next card. But if it's not Rave Revelation, then Will just needs 2 counter spells, I think. I guess it could be duress plus another seal in the. But Will just needs like a mass of counter spells, I think, to win this right here. And even if like the stasis does get destroyed, it doesn't mean that that Rich has won, because Will still gets to untap and then could have another stasis. I don't know.
It's not going to destroy it now. It's going to destroy it during his turn.
Oh, sure. That's fair with it. Yeah.
He's going to make him pay upkeep on it. He's not going to give him the free untap.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you have to fight over this, I think. And that's the perfect card to do it. Arcane Denial is really the best counterspell that you could be playing in Stasis.
Yeah, it like fits. Like it draws you extra cards. Like giving them extra cards is not a bad thing, because sometimes like, well, their mana is tied up, but then also like because of Black Vice, they don't even always do it. We see the Duress is the follow up, and Will has a thwart. So it's just really one more threat that Rich has. I think he has the.
I think you're going to see your turn 27 days here.
Oh, there's a Zuran Orb. Actually, well,
Interesting.
Is this something you? Let's say you only have 1 counter spell. I think you would let this resolve, right? Well, you can't daze this one, but
no, you can't.
Well, you could, right?
Because if you can. Like
I mean,
I said earlier, very sarcastic.
I'm saying like
you can always daze something.
Well, this is I'm saying like, because if you daze here, then that means that he's not going to be able to play another threat, like another seal cleansing this turn or a Rave Revelation. Right. So like it does do something in this spot. It's not just like I don't know, a pitiful effort of just making him do something for the sake of it. But
yeah, he worked himself down to 4 cards. He has.
Right, he's got a Chain of Vapor that's going to target the seal cleansing. Are you interested, from Will's perspective, to chain anything of Rich's? I mean, I guess it would. No, never mind. 2 of the cards cost 0, and 1 is tapped. So. Don't know what we're counting here.
I don't know what we're counting either. Number of spells cast this turn, maybe?
What is that relevant for? Brain freeze?
No, he doesn't have it in this list. I don't think. He did in his last one.
I can't think of another card that.
Yeah, we're not brain freezing this time. All right, we're gonna resolve.
Chain of Vapor's gonna resolve. It's gonna bounce back the stasis. Yeah, Rich doesn't have blue mana up anyways.
Is chat helping with actual like good
Yeah.
logic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, chat.
You're surprised.
Like, taking options off the table entirely.
You're surprised that a Twitch chat can produce.
There's so much more alert than we are at this point. I thought we talked about that when he left.
I mean, Will's hand, from what we see, is a couple islands. I think he has a couple cards. Okay, yeah, he's got. Oh, it's 3 unknowns. All right. Oh, yeah. I guess the Arcane Denial. There was 1 unknown. Yeah. Okay. Rich is gonna go down to 3, though. I mean, the Zuran Orb does give him the option of gaining a lot of life.
Don't let that fool you. He's nowhere near 3.
But Rich really wants to like continue hitting land drops, which okay, he does. He has a Mox Diamond, and Undiscovered Paradise gets pitched. All right.
Yeah, how many powder kegs were there? I think he played an extra one on the board.
Yeah, I think 1 in the main, and then there was 1 on the board.
Do you think he brought in the extra one? I'm not sure if he did or not. I don't think I would, but
it depends what you think you need to cut. I mean,
yeah, I think Rich is going to feel pretty safe playing out Mox Diamonds and stuff from here.
Actually, we didn't talk about it, but like, given looking at like Rich's list, I think you have to take out the Kismets. Like, there's just so many answers that Rich has to it. Like,
oh yeah, for sure, and it costs 4, and it's
spending 4 mana is like really bad for Will.
Yeah.
So maybe that gives him a little bit of room to bring in a couple of cards. There's a Ray of Revelation.
That's a very good card.
So he has mana to pay for days, and then he also has another mana to flash it back if it does get countered. Yeah, Rich might pull this one out. I mean, like, if the Stasis gets destroyed, I mean, it's not like Rich has it in the bag, but you have to like a spot here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got a bunch of lands in play. He has a scroll rack already. So he kind of would just build up his hand, and then he could just start racking and finding the relevant cards. Oh,
no, it's hard casting Akromas. Akroma.
He could. He could right now.
We're living the dream today. That's the theme.
If he got the untap, he'd be able to.
Kismets and Akromas. All right, so we foiled it.
There's still the flashback half.
I assume all this is happening during William's upkeep. Is that right?
Yeah, that would seem like the time to do it, yeah.
All right, so we're flashing back Ray of Revelation.
Yep.
1 unknown card in William's hand. Days is paid for by Mox Diamond, if that's what it is. So it would need to be Thwart or Arcane Denial at this point.
Is that like, what would Will be contemplating here?
It could be just some theatrics as well. You want him to think that you're thinking about something, but
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes you just get got, you know?
All right, Will looks at his one unknown card. He picks it up. Yep, and the stasis goes to the graveyard, so Rich is...
Oh, he did the string disc. All right. I don't hate it either.
Rich is very happy to untap.
That was the fastest untap I think I've seen in a long time.
Well, like, when you skip your untap step for, like, 800 turns, I think you're just, like...
You got this itch.
Yeah.
That needs scratching.
We have a follow from Legzuzu, so welcome to the stream. Hope you're enjoying some stasis action. Or maybe the follow is after the stasis leaves play, you're able to...
Now we're going to start not having fun. Now we're going to shuffle in all these things that are going to make
Will's life a lot harder. Like,
yep,
do you feel like Rich just won the game there?
Why didn't he shuffle in the Seal of Cleansing?
Maybe he just feels like he has... I don't know. That seems like a card that you almost always want to draw.
I would think so. I would want it in play. Like, that's a flex. That's some mental magic right now. That's I'm going to get in your head. I don't even need the Seal of Cleansing. You have me under Black Vice, and I don't care. Yeah,
like, Rich has navigated his way to go down to... He hasn't even sacked any lands to Zuran Orb. But he was just skirting it, just staying under that Black Vice, or, like, at least not dying to it. And then the last turn, pretty much... Well...
So he clearly has Aura Silence here, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Good cards. I still think you put the seal back in. I don't know. Rich has a lot more experience with this deck than I do, and
I mean, like, whatever was in his hand, like, might change it. Like, if you had multiple auras, then maybe... Okay. That was...
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
We found the reason.
I want it right now.
We have found our answer. Argivian Find, so...
But if that was the case, do you not find first and then blessing the find back in?
I guess...
I don't know.
Well, if you drew the find, like, the very next turn, it wouldn't do anything, and you can eventually just, like, Gaia's Blessing it later and have access to it. I guess you're opening yourself up to, like, a Tormod Crypt, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so the Stasis player got to untap. This doesn't happen very often, so I want everybody to take a mental note of this. You're seeing something very special here. Actual untap steps happening.
And Rich has like 800,000 mana in play, so...
Yeah, yep. That Morphling's not feeling too bad right now.
Enlightened Tutor, what are you getting here? I don't know. I mean, land tax doesn't do enough, does it? Sylvan Library, Aura of Silence. Zura's Weirding. All right, I like that. I mean, you can just deny every draw stuff from Will, I think, with the Zuran Orb.
Yep.
So nice. This Zura's Weirding has actually been pretty good in this match. Also, like, having the hand revealed is pretty good as well. All right, Will's gonna tap 2 mana for an Impulse. We're not there yet. But if there's no counterspell here, I think Will lose this game.
Yeah, I don't see how he wins it from that point. Yep,
nope.
Neither does he.
And that'll prompt a concession for Will.
I am fairly confident that would be Will conceding that time.
Yeah.
I think I know.
Rich just had a change of heart.
I studied for this test.
He's like...
Pop quiz.
All right, we've got a final match, or a final game for this match.
Big shocker, it's going to 5.
I mean, that game I thought was really exciting. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
It's actually been good Magic the whole way. It's kind of what both players wanted to be doing there. Rich got the early land tax, which was answered into Scroll Rack. William had the early Black Vice into early Stasis Lock. So that's kind of how you anticipate those kind of playing out a lot of the time. And now we shuffle. Why do we shuffle? Because all of our lands were in play.
Yeah.
And they're all grouped together. We're going to shuffle a lot. And I think Rich is playing like what, quad sleeves?
Yeah, it sure looks like his deck looks gigantic, so.
Yep.
All right, who's going to win this game 5?
I'm still giving the favor to Rich.
Yeah, I think
on these, so
I think as well. Especially, I mean, like, that was pretty much the perfect draw from Will, and
yeah,
it wasn't able to get there.
I mean, I still think you aggressively mulligan into some sort of play pattern very similar to that. Ideally with days back up, and cross your fingers and hope it's good enough.
Yeah, I don't know if, like, Rich's sequencing was very good, like, after what Will had, and I don't think a lot of people would be able to get to that point just because of the permutation of their draw. Like, they wouldn't be able to hit their land drops as easily, and then they're kind of forced to play out their hand a lot quicker. But, like, I don't know, that worked out in Rich's favor after a lot of planning and, like, just being able to set up being able to play, because he played what, Seal, Duress, and then Rave Revelation, and flashed it back all in the same turn.
Yeah, he actually played Duress after the Seal as well.
Okay.
Which was not a bad thing either. I do have a request. I am a product of the Florida public education system, so if you could avoid using big words like permutation and stuff like that, it would help me a little bit. I'm sure Chad understands what you're saying.
I always wonder, like, since we do have, like, an international crowd and there's, like, people that use English as a second language, how often, not to say that, like, my vocabulary is, like, that I use a bunch of big words often, but I wonder how often they're, like, listening to something and they're like, I have no idea what that word means, and if they're just able to, context clues they figure it out, or if they just kind of, like, just don't know what I said for that one sentence.
No, I think there's a reason why everybody was so excited that I was, co-hosting today. It's because I use small words.
No problem at all.
All right, here we go, Black Vice. We're gonna get a good game here again. I feel like he's not keeping a hand without Stasis. Let's go. Let's do this. All right, land tax.
If you had to choose between a hand, like, mulliganing to a hand that just had Black Vice or just had Stasis, what do you think is better?
Black Vice.
Okay.
And the reason being is Stasis, sometimes even when you have it, you're not going to play it out until later. And there's a lot of decks where even this one, they're able to duress it out of your hand before you even get to play it. So even though Stasis is the backbone of the deck in a control matchup like this, I would want Black Vice because it's going to be able to chip for a little bit early through the first couple turns. And eventually you're going to get to your Stasis. Hopefully. Sometimes you don't, but
Nimblest Mongoose says, understanding 99% while learning 1% sounds good enough to me. So, yep.
Nice.
I'm educating. That's what I could say. So.
The more you know.
Yeah. No, that's cool. It's one thing, like, I kind of thought about. I'm like, yeah, it's a luxury that I haven't really had to deal with since I don't typically listen to streams that aren't in my native language. So. I did one time watch a German stream about it. I think it was a farming simulator game, and because I took German when I was younger, so it was kind of just like, how much of this am I able to understand? But it was, I don't know if it was like farming simulator or something, or they were just talking about like farming equipment. It was I don't remember how it must have been a game. because it was on Twitch. Like I don't know why else it would have been broadcast.
I'm dead. How bored were you? You're like, all right, this is what we're doing tonight.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think how I saw it, but I mean, like it had to have a lot of people watching it if I would have seen it on Twitch. But it was, I don't know. I wonder if I could find the archive at some point. But all right, land tax was used, so
sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh wow, yeah. So where were we? German farming simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had to be if it was on Twitch. It had to be a game. That's all. But I think I also was watching. There was some like Red Bull coverage of like the Flugzeug, like where they try and make like a flying machine and they run off a ramp.
Right.
I don't know if that was in German, but I have seen that. Have you ever watched any of those?
I just like clips. And I even think they were like Red Bull commercial clips type of a thing. So, but I've never sat down and actually watched the competition.
This was like when I'm at work and I would like turn on something. It was not my full attention was not devoted. So
fair. Yeah, it's like the soapbox derbies and stuff like that. And...
Okay, here we go. Nibbles Mongoose says that farming sim game is a huge thing. They even had a stand with an actual tractor at GamesCon in Cologne this year. So
the more you know.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? All right, so we're getting that land tax back to the hand.
Is that afraid of triggering it, or is that trying to like speed up the clock with Black Vice?
Interesting.
Well, Enlightened Tutor gets cast, and then Will has
dazed.
So
immediately
now
dazed.
We
have a plan, is what we have.
Well, this at least, like, if land tax comes back down, it's not triggering. Though, I mean, like, is Will unhappy if land tax is triggering? I don't know, because there's still a Black Vice in play. I'm not 100% sure what the game plan is for Will.
I would be willing to bet that one of those other 4 cards in Rich's hand is a scroll rack.
Okay.
I don't see a world where I discard that scroll rack without having another one in my hand.
So was that just like a tempo chain of vapor then? It just seems so hard to do it like on a.
To be.
It seems so weird to do it on a card that costs 1 mana. All right, we got a Duress being
Rich
cast.
didn't play into more games. It's another tempo play. I like it.
I mean, Arcane Denial is a good one. You can
draw the cards or you can't. Yeah, it's that's why it's so good. He's like, I will keep my secrets. Rich doesn't even know if he wants to play this land tax. He wants to get the cards out of his hand, but he's like, I don't know.
That gets dazed.
This is so good. All right. There's a Mox Diamond. We got there. We don't have to worry about the Black Vice anymore.
It's just a non-factor now. All right. Will at 2 mana again, thanks to another copy of Daze. But Rich has done a good job of kind of like using a bunch of resources and kind of using Will's as well. So did we see if Rich drew? I don't think he drew extra cards from the Arcane Denial. He does have an Enlightened Tutor.
See, I think here you're not really worried. I'm not as worried about Daze at this point.
Okay. Checking from that he did.
I think I go for Aura Silence here over Seal of Cleansing in this situation. Okay.
There is an Arcane Denial. Okay. All the Arcane Denials. Yep. So Rich will draw extra 2. Will draw an extra 1.
All right, what we want to see here, team, is an island, aura, Forsaken City, and a stasis.
If you're on team Stasis.
Mm-hmm.
You just assume everyone's on team Stasis.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't by any stretch of the imagination. But we root for the underdogs. That's what we do.
There is that. Well, there you go. Look, you just willed it into existence.
For Will.
There you go.
I willed it for Will into Will's existence.
We will for Will. That was a sentence.
Our vocabulary's gotten so much worse over the last 10 minutes. Oh.
In Stasis versus Parfait, I think you have to be team Stasis. That's what James says.
Yes. And when was the last time either of the Smiths were wrong?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I've ever had James play Stasis. I don't know. No.
And not knowing is half the battle.
All right. So does this Forsaken City and Stasis? So how many cards are in Will's hand? He's got a decent number of cards, so he's able to pay for the Stasis.
I still think he's relatively low, if I remember correctly.
Okay. I think he's at 3 or 4. Well.
Oh, look at this.
Let's change that.
That's what we need. That's just what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, that is huge. That it is very good there. And another Black Vice. That is very problematic.
That could be issues.
Because as soon as Rich starts taking damage, it will add up very quickly.
Rich has done an excellent job navigating around Black Vice these games, but he doesn't have a ton of tools to do so right now at his disposal, like he did in previous games. He's always had like one scroll rack or something to kind of keep him, or a Sylvan Library or something like that.
Yeah, the biggest position or the biggest difference was in the other games is when he was in kind of this spot, he hit land after land after land after land. And so if he's able to hit those land drops, then it might not be that bad. But if he ever misses, the damage adds up so quickly. All right, he's gonna tap most of his mana for an Aura of Silence right here. He's got 4 cards in hand.
All right, let's do it. We got it. We got a foil. We have a foil. We have a foil. Will, we have a foil. Just reminding you. Oh, you don't have to tap that. What are we doing? Oh no, we didn't have a foil.
All right, so the Aura Silence is in play.
It's in play.
If Will had a second Stasis, well, I guess he can't cast it because of the Aura Silence. I was to say, this is a situation where maybe you play a second one, but that would only apply if it were a Seal Cleansing it out an Aura. All right, Rich is going to use the Stasis at the end of the turn so that he gets to untap his cards. He'll fetch down to 8. And pretty much if Rich is staying under these Black Vices, he should be in pretty good shape.
He definitely has an Enlightened Tutor. This is the second time he's like arbitrarily tapped planes and then. Oh no, that's what it is. Got it. That makes more sense.
Always defined. Do you get a Aura of Silence? Nope, gets a seal. Maybe he's planning on using a lot of his mana this turn.
I would assume so.
All right, plays an Undiscovered Paradise. I'm guessing the Seal of Cleansing will be following. Yes, it is. The LobsterCon Seal of Cleansing has made another appearance. You got some extra goodies from LobsterCon for some awards, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually got a Korean Mishra's Factory that's was stamped and everything for the day 2 tournament that I took third in, I believe, and got a couple of those seal cleansings, I believe.
You got one from like, did you get one for like best deck or like best T-shirt or something? What was it?
Oh, I was giving out. I made my own tokens
Oh,
to
you
give
made your
out.
own.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. I was giving out those.
All right.
And Koal won one. They were Battle of Wits that I had altered, and for various achievements of sorts. Koal got one for best T-shirt.
So did you predetermine all the achievements before, or did you kind of make them up as you went?
No, I predetermined them before.
Okay.
I wish I would have had more time to do more of them, but I still need to send one to Jens.
So
I have his address. I just haven't got it in the mail yet.
Okay. A Medley Mage was cast, but Arcane Denial was found for that. But that kind of this is a spot where I guess you're less excited to Arcane Denial because like giving the 2 cards to Rich, I mean you still have the 2 Black Vice in play, but him being able to untap his mana, he's able to utilize those cards.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's more excited to be able to draw the extra card. I think eventually, I think within the next couple turns, we get to start cycling some Gaea's Blessings and
Yeah, kind of juice up your deck and keep it dense with the
more
answers.
dense.
Yeah.
Yep. It is kind of interesting how in this style matchup, we're talking about threat density and we're referring to cards that are, typically very
super reactive.
They're not,
yeah,
they're much more reactive as far as proactive. And, but yeah, that's exactly what you need to be doing in these type of matchups anyways. So,
well, kind of like if you cannot die against Stasis, that's kind of a threat in itself, I guess.
yeah.
So. All right, we got a land tax out of Rich.
Which is about the most threatening thing he can do.
What is the land count? 1, 2. Well, here's a Sylvan Library. And another Tormod's Crypt.
Rich does not care about Black Vices at all.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely under those. So
I think in Stasis, I'm going to start sideboarding like 1 or 2 Sunders just for these type of situations. So if I were to bet, this is targeting the seal. And he's got his Stasis.
yeah, so if that were the sequence, Yeah, I mean, because otherwise it doesn't make sense really to fire this off at this point, does it?
Mm-mm.
If you're rich, do you get rid of a black vice? I think you just let it happen, right?
No, I think you'll let it happen.
Is it
He has
possible?
3 cards in hand. I know it's hard to tell because his hand, it looks like it's stacked. It looks like it should be like 16 cards, but
Yeah.
I think it's only actually 3.
So let's say this chain of vapor resolves. Is there any merit?
Which it does.
Okay. Do you think there was any merit for him to like bounce a black vice? Just so that Will has to tap another mana on his turn. That could put him under like counterspell magic or out counterspell mana. Maybe not. All right. Impulse is gonna be used at a turn for Will.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's probably not worth it. I mean, you've seen a lot of the 2 mana spell counterspells anyways, right? Like we've seen like 3 arcane denials.
Yeah. And those aren't going to come back. He's got 2 Tormod scripts in play.
All right, so does Will have a stasis? Do you think if he does, he needs to play
I
it
think he
here?
has to. I mean, he might have been playing towards it, knowing that he probably only has so much of a window. Like he was going to try to initiate. Yeah, he's got it.
Okay. And you like, do you think he found like a counterspell with the impulse, or like otherwise, because he knows there's a seal cleansing?
I mean, Thwart and Foil are the only ones that are on board, and he's got how many cards in hand now? 2?
Yeah, I think it's
2 or
just
3.
2.
So really Thwart or Gush into Foil.
But if he did have a counterspell for that seal, Will seems to be in a good position then, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth here. This has been uh, some really good Magic all the way around for sure.
Yeah, these games have been very just like balancing on a line where like I'm not sure. Like it felt like Rich after had like weathered the initial onslaught of staying under a black vice and getting rid of stasis. Now it seemed like he was in smooth sailing, and then all of a sudden, like really quickly, that Will kind of put him in a position that Rich is in danger.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what Stasis does. It's all about positioning and setting up for a better lock.
Chat says, if you like watching people suffer, these have been educational.
That's not chat. That's Dr. Stephen Hines. That's one of the greatest individuals on the face of the planet right there.
All right, we have
He
a
doesn't play near enough pre-modern. He really should, but he watches a lot of it.
seal cleansing was cast. There was a thwart,
Of course, there was a thwart.
but there's a red elemental blast off the Undiscovered Paradise for Rich. So
Wow.
we'll untap his Forsaken City to pay for
He's
this.
got that's going to be tapped.
Yeah, I guess I guess it gets sacrificed. There's a seal cleansing of Will's own, though. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like it like really matters at this point. Not that the game's just over, but just every time Rich untaps after like not being able to untap for a number of turns, it feels like really bad for Will. Like he's put so much effort and cards into like trying to keep a
He has.
lockdown, and
He's
yeah.
yeah.
Why do you think that
And now
one
this.
that
right?
one plane's
So,
got promoted to the top row? Okay, he gets to move up. He's above all the other lands.
that's clearly political.
Or-
Or he's got some dirt on the other planes.
Yeah.
He's like,
We got a Gaia's blessing. We'll shovel some goodies back in. Planes has entered the red zone. Yeah, it's vigilant though. It hasn't tapped yet. All right, we got a meddling mage. What are you naming
yeah.
here?
I don't know if it even matters. Give me a grizzly bear here.
Yeah.
Like something I can play out of my hand, something that's gonna attack.
I might name like Gush. Like that feels like I don't know.
How many stasi have we been through? 2?
Yeah,
I
I think
think.
so. Yeah, maybe it's probably just Stasis. Yeah.
I know we've been through at least 2 chain of vapors. We haven't seen any source of plowshares yet, but that doesn't even matter. What is he discarding 2 cards to get rid of the meddling mage?
Mm-hmm. So the question is, will the meddling mage swap places with that planes?
I think he has planeswalk actually, is why it's up there.
Okay. Nope, it stays back there. So the meddling mage gets in, will go down to 16, and this is, I think, the start of. All right, the
Oh,
planes.
there we go.
Planes is receded. The seal cleansing goes up there. Okay. I think this is the start of Will's downfall in this game. I think the clock is there and all the answers are on the board for Rich,
Yeah.
and it's a matter of turns. I guess I mean like Will could find a source of plowshares and
Yeah,
make
in
things.
retrospect, I think probably the name was Swords to Plowshares. You've already seen it. You know it's there. You've already got an answer to Stasis on the board with the seal. Now you have, the other one. You don't care if it really gets bounced per se. If he wants to play another, yeah, I think he just names Plow.
Okay. Is there anything that Will is looking to draw or set up, or do you think it's just a matter of time before he just takes 16 from this meddling mage?
I think the writing's kind of on the wall at this point. Unfortunately, with the aura, the seal, he's yeah.
I mean, Will does have a seal cleansing in play, so he could take out the aura, but there's still the seal would remain from Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Gaia's blessing will target Gaia's blessing, Duress, and red elemental blast.
This is what we call inevitability. So I'm so happy that strip mine isn't in the format. I I've often thought about what this format will be like if strip mine was legal.
Yeah, that it would definitely change a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Yeah, very powerful card. Wasteland like comes in and out of the format, but like Rich's deck is pretty well set up against a deck like Wasteland. But if you're a Stasis player, Wasteland is not a card you're excited to see. It can definitely throw a wrench in your game plan.
So can Rashadenport.
Sure.
Yeah.
Medley Mage swings in for another 2. Will falls down to 12. We see a Karmic Justice.
See, now that one I wasn't entirely sure if we would see or not. He's probably gonna fire off the seal now. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean,
I just think he had so many dead dead cards.
Yeah, I think that's the case. It's just he had enough cards that pretty much did nothing that Karmic Justice, on average, did more than those. Will's just been playing some lands, and he's just going to be taking 2 from this Meddling Mage. I think I would not be surprised if just for the rest of the game. So Rich is close to assembling Enchantment Voltron over there. There's a Gaia's Blessing. What are we getting back this time? Gaia's Blessing. Maybe even not if you have a second one in your hand. But
yeah, he's still got the Find, right?
It was Gaia's Blessing and another card. I didn't see exactly what it was.
I know he's leaving the Find. He's not putting the other Meddling Mage back in?
Yeah, I think I would, but shorten that clock. I don't know. It's don't think it makes a significant difference at this point.
No.
Will the Woodford Reserve make another appearance for Will? That's the question. All right. As long as Rich, I mean, I don't see I don't even know if Rich really needs to do much more from this spot.
All right, so it all starts with Kismet.
Okay. A very expensive Kismet. I guess you have the seal to get rid of it, and then lose a land, and then get it sealed. Does everything start with Kismet? Have you ever tried a blue-white list for Stasis?
No.
Okay. Never got past the theory point for you?
I mean, not since like 1995 or something.
Okay.
But I'm not saying it's wrong. Like I said, it's what we ideally want to be doing as Stasis players, but
yeah, Will did come to the conclusion after even doing well in this tournament that he concluded that the white is not necessary. I've seen him play different versions of Stasis a number of times, and he's already trying different things and back to a mono blue list. But
yeah, and kudos to him for that. Like I don't hate it by any stretch of the imagination. I definitely think there's probably matchups where it is even maybe a little bit stronger, but
well, the benefit of Kismet compared to Root Maze, or do you think it's just because white is a better, like there's the flooded strands?
Yeah, you get the tutors, you get
the
one-off seal. I think there's way more upside there.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to play green, you can always go with like Gaea's Blessings
and thawing glaciers.
Play something Stasis.
Yeah.
And that Meddling Mage just stays tapped, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's moving on up though. It started at the back and now it's slowly coming forward. So
this is like the Jeffersons. Here I come, Wheezy. Moving on up. Good times. This has been an adventure. I'm really happy to have. I feel like we're coming to the end of this.
Yeah, I do feel like we're approaching the end. We're near the fires of Mount Doom. We've got the ring, but all right. An Enlightened Tutor gonna find a Zuran Orb. I feel like this is just
why not?
This is like a.
Because why not?
This is like backup. Like if everything went wrong, you would still be able to like stay alive for a bunch more turns. Or maybe he's gonna cast Armageddon. I don't know.
And I think that there's like some flavor wins here as well with Zuran Orb and the Karmic Justice. Like, if Black Vice forces you to sack lands to Zuran Orb, then it should trigger Karmic Justice, right? Like,
Is that how it works?
it should. Like, I think that's how it should work.
All right, Meddling Mage, 2 more. Down to 6.
All right, William. We need that Kismet right now.
The crowd demands it. This Zuran Orb's gonna get thwarted. It's that last like jab that Vil gets to have. No, you do not get to have a Zuran Orb.
No.
I will die by your Meddling Mage, but you do not get to have a Zuran Orb. We've got an Armageddon though. Will this resolve? Man, Will's like, I should have picked up my 3 islands to cast my thwart. I don't think it would have mattered. All right.
Wait, no. Armageddon just destroys the lands. Well,
Yeah.
it's you get to keep your Black Vices.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Hold on. I'll go to chat. I'll remind him.
This is weird because yep. So I guess the Meddling Mage does not get to steal the glory. That's the thing. Rich says, "I will win this game with Zuur's weirding," is how he says.
See, but what happens if you respond to that with a Sunder right there? I'm just saying, like.
All right, let's listen to the players.
Turn before. Yeah. Let's let them chat for a while.
Yeah.
Vice, and I'm pretty sure I would have locked it up. With that not being done, I had to mess around and dink around with other things. I had to chain your land tax and then date. It was not good.
That's fair.
So that is the only thing about the match that I'm irritated about. I think I could have locked it up right there if I was just being assertive and paying attention.
Well, I mean, I played it. I waited for you to respond.
No, you didn't. You didn't do anything wrong. I just wasn't. I just let it go. I let the pitch go by. I would say you were moving too fast. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. So I apologize if that's the way it's coming out.
No worries. I mean, it's an exhausting match. Neither of us are going to be playing our best after 2 hours of playing this ridiculous prison match.
Yeah.
That was exhausting. Let's unmute them.
Sounds good.
So like I was saying, I think that I'm on top of my game right now. I have never been better at commentary than at this exact moment, 2.5 hours into this. No. Great matchup, guys. That was awesome to watch.
That was
thank you.
Exhausting, but
yes.
Intense.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, so after Will started up 2 games, we looked at the sideboard and kind of expected Rich to take the next 3. It seemed like he had enough cards that came in. Like your deck got way better, Rich.
I cut 11 complete bricks to bring in 11 non-bricks.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they are much more than non-bricks. They are like 2 more Ray of Revelations and like Meddling Mages and Red Elemental Blast. Like those Duress, those cards are very good. And then Will, that 4th game, that start like definitely put Rich in a position where he needed to like set up a very powerful turn where he cast like 5 or 6 threats like in one turn off of like 5 mana or something. Or it was, I don't know. It was really exciting. I don't know. The games did take a long time, but they definitely were very interesting from my perspective. So
I think it's hard for either of us to be playing at 100% after 2 hours and 45 minutes of being wizards.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just true in the Parfait Oath. Like, do you, Rich, like with Scroll Rack, that's a card that really opens up a lot of opportunities and like shuffle effects and like, are you, a lot of times when you play, are you worried about like trying to play perfectly, or do you just like, I'm just going to try and do its best, and sometimes you look back in the match is like, hey, there are a few little things that maybe I could have done better. I'll try and translate that into the next match. Or are you like trying to use a lot of your mental focus to be like, I'm going to try and optimize every little decision?
That's a great question. I think that for Parfait and a lot of other decks like this, you have to have reduced a lot of the decisions to muscle memory, which is to say you need to have played enough matches where you already know what you're doing in most situations. I don't know about other people, but I don't have the brain power to cogitate every single decision that I'm making, which means that I need to move a lot of those decisions into my pre-established mental protocols, which is all to say that I've gotten in enough testing so that when I'm playing for real, I can play quickly and not actually have to really think about everything. I can think about some things, but I think it would be poor sportsmanship if I actually went into the tank on every decision. So I hope that I've seen enough of these situations before that I know what to do, and that when a new situation arises, it's analogous to enough things I've already seen in testing.
I do think another thing that you do well is, like, a lot of times you'll sit down in a match and you'll really understand like what cards matter from both, obviously from your deck, but then like the opponent's position. So you kind of like are able to see in the long term like what things matter, and that gives you like a long-term plan and able to set things up that you're not trying to figure out like, oh, what is the value of this card in this matchup. You already know its role and how things like in theory should play. Some things might change a little bit, but yeah.
Right.
So.
And I try to go into a match, especially like this, where we both know each other's deck lists. So I've thought about how I'm sideboarding, how I think my opponent will is sideboarded. But William and I have already played this matchup a number of times with each other. So, you know, we both actually practiced this quite a lot. And William's done really well with Stasis. He's been on quite a tear with it.
If you had to put a percentage on this matchup, like, what do you? How close do you think it is?
I don't think it's significantly far from even.
Okay.
I don't even feel comfortable telling you which direction it's in. So.
Well, do you feel like I mean, you have to say if you have 3 sideboarded games as compared to 1, that probably makes you feel a little bit better, right?
I think I'm maybe a little favored after sideboarding, but I'm also not favored before sideboarding.
Okay.
So I think that I guess what we saw there is what I might expect, where it's lose, lose, win, win, win.
Okay.
But those are all, again, so close to even that I think William's up a little bit in the first 2, and then I'm up a little bit in the next 3. But I can definitely take game 1. If I can use my scroll racks, and if William doesn't quite have a lock ready to go, like in game 2, if he didn't open on Vice, I would have been in much better shape. And then the subsequent games, again, it's really close. And even every game that I won, I felt like William was very close to being able to just push ahead and win. Like if he had he couldn't have had the Days that last game, but if he had like foil as his last card, then I just lose.
Will, what are your thoughts on the matchup? Do you like agree with Rich, or do you have any different opinions or of anything?
Oh, I 100% agree. What you just saw is essentially what most of our many games of tweaking Stasis from this version to others showed. Is he has so many duds in game 1 that it can't help but favor what I'm doing. Not that it's unlosable, but it certainly shifts in my favor. But then in game 2, I think after sideboard, you saw it in game 3. It was like turn 1 Duress, and then a verdict, and then this and that. And it's just like, oh my God. This match truly does come down to early Vice and being able to protect it, because while Parfait can go long and they have a lot of different things, all their stuff is very cheap. So Rich can sit here, build his mana as he did 4 or 5 turns, and then throw 3, 4 different spells at me. And even Stasis a lot of times cannot keep up with that. So these played out the way. I can't remember which game it was where I bounced my Stasis and I just didn't like play it for 2 turns for some reason.
That was game 1.
Okay.
Was that game 1?
Yeah, that was a really hard fought game. You know, you didn't have the early Vice. I had enough turns, but I was hitting brick after brick after brick, and you were even letting me have 2 untap steps, and I still couldn't put the pieces together. Yeah,
it was. I think, and me and Rich were kind of talking about that last game. I made a mental misstep, and this is something I need to tighten up as a player in long games. Is being concentrated. Last game I went turn 1 Vice. Rich went turn 1 Paradise land tax, and I let it go even though I had the daze in my hand. I should have dazed that, and then I kept going, and I believe with the way that was playing out, I'm pretty sure that would have gotten that extra, what was it, like 4 damage in?
I was at 4, so
Yeah.
I, mean, I could have made other plays if I were starting to get low on life.
Sure.
Certainly, but yeah.
Maybe. I think I maybe could have done that, but I think with me, and in this matchup in particular, it's the little decisions and when you do them and how. And I will certainly give that to Rich all day, every day, because I truly believe he's a much tighter player than me in the vast majority of cases.
I appreciate it. Even that last game, what I was conscious of is even when I had things mostly locked up, the way I lose is if you go to my upkeep and you have chain boomerang.
That's what I was looking for with the impulses.
Yeah. So I was making sure that I was keeping. I had one Enlightened Tutor. If we ever reached a point where I couldn't have responded to chain boomerang by casting one of my spells to get it out of my hand, I was going to seal and aura your 2 vices. Because
that sounds about right.
That's why I needed to know how many chains were in your graveyard. Because if you had one more, I would have actually needed to play that completely differently to avoid losing to chain boomerang.
That is very forward thinking. Yes, that is.
And then there's the Walla Walla Bang Bang.
Pretty much.
It's thinking about the ways that you can lose. Right?
Yeah.
But it's like I said to William at the beginning. I'm not trying to win. I'm just trying not to lose.
Yeah. And that red blast was absolutely freaking brutal. Freaking red blast.
Yeah.
I think you got me with that red blast in so many games we've played. It's like there's nothing you can do about it.
There's just one, but it's been great. And the Gerard's verdict was just spectacular.
Yeah, that was fantastic, that one turn.
Yeah, that was great. I never did get to see my misdirection. That would have been fun. But no, it was a wonderful set of games. Guys, I have to jump off. I'm actually hosting a pre-modern get-together here at my house in like 10 minutes.
All right.
So I need to actually set up tables. But Rich, as always, a pleasure. Mike,
excellent game, William.
Pleasure.
Great games, guys.
Yep, and then I'll run back Stasis in the this next monthly.
All right.
Yeah, take it down. Yeah.
I mean, if I can do, has anyone won 2 monthlies in a row?
Not that I know of.
I don't think so. I think James would probably be the closest person to doing it, but I don't remember. So.
Well, darn it, I'm going to go for it then.
Go for it, yeah. Teach them about how good Bobble is and Stasis.
Yes, Bobble Stasis. You guys will see that soon.
All right.
All right, guys. You guys take care. Have a wonderful night.
All right, be good.
All right. Great games, William.
See you later, Rich.
Ryan, it was great to hang out. Thanks for staying awake. I went through a lot of coffee in this match. And now it's dinner time somehow. We've gone from the afternoon to dinner.
All right.
Or, I'm going to go grab a bite to eat. Great games, guys. Thanks a lot.
Great games, and we will see you later sometimes for the semifinals.
Almost 3 hours of Magic.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
For now.
Definitely got our money's worth for sure.
All right, Ryan, let's wrap things up.
Let's do it.
Since I'm sure everyone has had a lot of fun with this Stasis match. I mean, those games were great, and but I would like to thank you, Ryan, for being here, for being our expert Stasis analysis. And
thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I might have to see the bad words you said about me when I was gone, but I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't give you so much praise.
Yeah.
But... Okay.
Gotta go.
All right. Well, thanks again. Thank everyone for tuning in and having fun with us. The next match I will be streaming for the Fall Brawl quarterfinals will be tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. We will have Tom Matelski up against who is his opponent? Tom is playing against Sven Lutz.
Oh,
so
nice.
And Lester Smelling will be in the booth with me. So some early morning Magic, I guess, if you're in the States, and some afternoon Magic if you're in the Europe side of the world. But we'll have more Fall Brawl action later. But until next time, take care.
Bye.